I thought I'd give the little thing a test drive now, though, because then I'm already laughing at it. Now, howdy, gentlemen, and a very good morning to y'all. I am the General Lee, and at Maulington. Damn finest Southern VTuber from Virginia. Howdy, y'all. Welcome to today's stream. Canadian spotted. No, I'm not Canadian. I'm the General Lee. How do you not recognize the General Lee, sir? Good evening, everybody. How are you all doing today? Good Lord, it's the Lee. I'm back, boys. I'm back from the south. I was resurrected by one of those VTuber necromancers, and on this fine Thursday afternoon, I'm here to lead my fellow male VTubers on a journey of discovery and truth. Okay, shitposting aside, let's actually get serious for a second. What kind of prompted this introduction where I'm going to be talking about male VTubing comes from... It comes from a clip from a Pipper stream from a couple days ago. And as usual, whenever Pipper actually has an actual hot take, people go fucking mental in the comment section. People get very upset. And I can see why they got upset, because she did a terrible job of explaining what she actually meant, and I think people kind of misunderstood what she meant. But she did raise some very valid points and some truths. I did think she came across terribly, but she was right in a lot of ways. So it's not just about kind of picking apart, dissecting specifically what Pipper said. Rather, it's more about taking a look at the male VTubing experience and how this industry operates in a more holistic way, really. So I think probably would it benefit you all if I show you the clip that I'm talking about first, and then we can kind of talk about those points. So maybe it would be good if we do that, actually. So I'm going to play you a clip, and then once we've done that, we can then talk about some of the points. Hang on, let me get the clip up. Oh god, and typically speaking, as soon as I start streaming... There we go. Okay, cool. Courtesy, as always, to Fiola. This is a clip from Fiola. As we all know, I don't shy away from it. I don't watch Pipper. I only catch the odd clip every now and again because there are more VTubers I'd rather watch instead of Pipper, unfortunately. But let's watch this clip. Let's get the full context of the male VTubing thing, and then yeah, we'll discuss some points.
Like you, I honestly feel sad about the stigma and reactions to male VTubers.
I went back and watched the stream. I didn't just watch the clip.
Slash you, I guess I don't get the hate.
I'm gonna get into hot water for this, but I feel like the problem with a lot of male VTubers is the same problem with, like, male musicians. It's not exclusively a male VTuber thing. It's just like a male micro-celebrity issue in general, where a lot of guys, when they get any sort of power, not any sort of power, I shouldn't say it like that, because, like, men in business don't have this issue as much, and women do all.
Hang on, I'd have to stop it there. Yeah, they do. It's way worse in real business than it is in entertainment and shit. What is she talking about? How many of you out there know Harvey Weinstein, for example?
Also experience this, but I would say to a weaker extent in the entertainment industry. I think the entertainment industry brings out people that really like attention, okay? And the people that really like attention, if they're getting attention paired with authority for the first time in their lives, it can be a sort of tantalizing evil.
That's true. She's made some good points there, but then at the same time, this isn't like, what's the word? This isn't, not just men are like this. Like, loads of women VTubers are particularly famous for being egotistical mean girls. It's the whole part of being, if you're someone who wants to go into entertainment, right, or you want to be a YouTuber, a content creator, a streamer of some kind, then you inherently like attention. You may not necessarily have a narcissistic craving for attention, right? But you must like attention to some extent, because this whole business, entertainment, is revolved around celebrity. It's entirely revolving around people giving you attention, right? So when you make content, and usually if you're making content, you want to make good content and you want to draw in as many people as possible, whether you're motivated by money, whatever it is, right? You don't make content just for to deliver that to no one. You want attention, whether it's attracting new audiences or entertaining your current audiences. You want their attention because in order to entertain someone, well, first you need their attention, right? Hey, Azahara channel. It's weird, actually. Hang on, just to go... Fuck, I'm doing it. Hang on, just to go on a quick tangent. I have a very weird relationship with being a streamer and content creator. I flip between those periods where I get too much attention or I feel like I'm getting too much attention and I feel self-conscious and disgusted by it. And then I deliberately sabotage myself so that I don't get the attention because I feel uncomfortable with it. But then after being that way for too long, then I kind of get, I get sad because it's like, well, I'm trying to make content that people will watch. But if I don't do certain things, if I'm not trying to get attention, then my content doesn't do very well, obviously. So yeah, I have a very weird, contradictory relationship with being. I'm not even a micro celebrity, but you know what I mean. A somewhat public figure.
Just be blunt. Okay, people in the entertainment industry have really bad egos. I would say a little over half of the time. I would say a bit over half of the people that are content creators are egomaniacal. Because especially the people that make it to the top, right? The people that make it to the top, a lot of the time they make it to the top because they're not afraid to make a few omelets, to crack a few eggs. They're not afraid.
Yeah, and that's absolutely true, right? You can see that it's the reason why clickbait thumbnails and drama tubing, or like not even drama tubing in terms of drama Vtubing, but you look at YouTube and the biggest channels are some form of commentary, video essay, or documentary channel where they're talking about the what's in the closet of Mr. Shit. How did Mr. Shit get his name? What's Mr. Shit up to? So that's kind of like the meta that we're in at the moment, and stuff that's clickbait, drama baiting, that tends to do the better numbers compared to something that's more holistic, original, and done purely for the sake of entertainment.
To use and abuse people. And so a lot of male VTubers,
basically an attention-seeking introvert, is exactly what I am to some regards. Maybe this isn't
objective reality, but how I feel in the situation is a lot of male VTubers get to where they are and take advantage of that.
I can't remember let's see if she elaborates on that. I don't know what she means by that, because women do that too. Female VTubers do that all the time. And it's nothing necessarily bad of that. It's part of the business, really. You grow by networking with other big creators and using them to get a leg up on your own career. That's how it works, unfortunately. Hey, thank you very much for the membership. Oh my god, 12 months as well, Lion. Cheers, buddy. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that, dude. Thanks for sticking along for so long, Mr. OG. Pipper doesn't see the double standard in what she says. Yes, I think I'm not just going to get focused solely on what Pipper's saying here. We're going to take a look at this more holistically, and we're going to take a look at not just how we're going. Let me get to it later. We'll finish the clip, and I'll get to my point. People like Cinder, for example,
of it in a not so nice way.
She tends to look at the situation from a woman's perspective when you need to take a look at it from a man's perspective too.
Every male VTuber,
because we're very different genders with different mentalities.
A lot of male VTubers, and this is why I don't do male collabs very much anymore. Like
I mean, to be fair to Pipper, right? She's not doing herself a good service here, because yes, she has had some collabs or near collabs with some pretty, dodgy individuals like Ricata Law, for example. Obviously, that was poo-pooed by Sakana, and she managed to dodge that bullet. But off her own volition, she liked Kumalot. She did the collab with Kumalot, and that ended up not going so well because he ended up being a weird parasocial, attention-seeking, crazy person in regards to Kershaw and Pipper. And I'm pretty sure he still talks about these two on his stream to this day. Like, he really can't get that down. But the thing is, right, is that you've got, these two or maybe three. Merryweather as well is a bad example of a collab that she's done with a male VTuber. So you got the bad examples like Merryweather, people like Kumalot and nearly Rekata Law. But she's had fantastic collabs with male VTubers too. She had that collab with Uwu. You know, I mean, I can't remember if Pipper's actually had a full collab with Bagman, but I know she's raided Bagman before, right? So again, to counteract her own point, I mean, yeah, that would be 50-50 in a personal example, but there are perfect examples of perfectly normal, wholesome, you know, great male VTubers who don't cause any issues. And, you know, some of the female VTubers that Pipper have collaborated with are radioactive toxic, right? Talk about like people like Yuko Yurei, for example, formerly of Idol. That was hot shit, right? That was really bad associating with someone like that. I mean, I really like Kersha. We all like Kersha here, right? But again, Kersha for a branding, for the branding and the image of a corporate VTuber, Kersha's pretty hot to handle as well. So, you know, it's not just the male VTubers. Mary's biggest. Oh, thank you very much for the 12 months as well, Boa. Cheers, buddy. Thank you very much, my friend. Much appreciated. Yeah, look at how Opharia, formerly Cyberlife, finally died. Exactly. I think it's a point I made in my last stream. Yeah, but it's kind of like the difference between Phase Connect and Cyberlife, or Opharia, what you want to call it. It's like when Phase Connect was going through the troubles, when Phase Connect wasn't looking so hot, the girls, for whatever reason, whether it's because of people like Temmer and Dizzy, whether it's because they just had a higher than average collection of actually quite well-rounded and morally decent people, were able to essentially lift each other up and get past the tough times of Phase Connect. They didn't eat each other and stab each other in the back once they started facing difficulties. Whereas Cyberlife is unfortunately went the route, like a lot of small, like particularly like groups of all women get sometimes, is that they ended up stabbing each other in the back, being toxic and turning on one another. So men and women are both equally toxic, really, but the way we respond to, I guess, like power, clout, authority, whatever you want to call it, it's different. It tends to be the case of women prefer to destroy each other and tear each other down secretly whilst pretending to be your best friend, whereas men are quite more direct and often sexual in the way that they abuse their power, particularly if they're dealing with people of the opposite sex. So yeah, before we go too much into that topic now, let's finish the clip.
It's not that I'll never do a male collab. It's just that a lot of people are weird, you know? A lot of male VTubers, I don't know, they're perverts. And women...
Yeah, see, this is the thing, right? She said male VTubers are weird, and what happened is that people immediately latched to that word weird, because as we all know, most of Phase Connect, and Pipper in particular, are really fucking weird VTubers, right? And it's not just relating to Phase Connect. The vast majority of VTubers are fucking weird and crazy. And the reason why that's the case is it can be due to, there are a lot of people here who genuinely have some kind of neurodivergence, whether they're like actually genuinely autistic or something. But whether you have a neurological condition or not, people who are creative are inherently weird because they think outside the box and they're daring enough to do things that break away from the norms, right? As much as we may live and breathe this industry, the thing is that the average normie still just consumes Netflix slop. And when they see these VTubers with their anime girl or anime boy avatars doing the shit that they do, they think it's weird and cringe. And I mean, they're not wrong. VTubing is very weird and cringe, but it's also a lot of fun. There's a lot of things to celebrate about VTubing. It's a very remarkable creative industry. So not using these virtual avatars for whatever reason seems to attract more weird creative people than flesh tubing does, and I'm not quite sure why that's the case. But it's always been the thing with anime. If you've ever looked at anime communities, whether you go to like the old Manga Fox forums or Crunchyroll or anime discussion sites, this kind of sector always has attracted people who are they're not exactly anti-Western, right? But they don't particularly care for the current state of Western culture and media. They think it's shit, uninspiring, too sanitized or whatever. And instead, like, at least in the old days, Japanese medium would treat its viewers more like adults. It was more graphic, more violent, more sexual, but it would tell deeper and grander stories, and that's why. And that tended to attract a lot of people who spent all day on the internet, people who are raised by the internet, such as ourselves. So, without getting off too topic there, but the point is, she opened up with male VTubers are weird, and then at that point, as soon as she said that, people just started blocking out her follow-up, but kind of weak clarification. By weird, she's referring to perverts and like borderline groomer people who are showing signs that they're interacting with female VTubers not for the benefit of each other's fan base or not to build a genuine friendship, but it's because they have a crush or some kind of low-key attraction to the VTuber. And that's what she means there, right? That's what she means by weird. Male VTubers being, you know, creepy and perverted is what she really means.
It's not to say that women don't. It's just that it's less common, I would say, in the industry. It's all to go 5 male VTubers. I don't know. And I'm not just talking like people that I've interacted. There have been plenty of male VTubers that I've interacted with that have been great. They have just been complete gems and have never been weird at all. Okay? They have been perfectly normal people. All right? But the ones that spoil it, really spoil it for the bunch. Owie love. Yeah, like owie.
Yeah, I get what she means, because there's been video essays, there's been like, you know, drama videos on some high profile, like male VTuber sex pests, right? You had, well, for legal reasons, I'm scared about using the word sex pests. Let's just say creepy guys, right? You've got, in recent memory that I can think of, you've got Evil Toaster, right? There was that whole Discord thing regarding Evil Toaster and the way he treats like women and the way he like obsessively stalks them and like harasses them and shit like that over comms, and kind of, I don't think it's fair to say that Evil Toaster pressured like female VTubers into collaborating with him, but that, I don't think it's fair to say that, but I can kind of see their perspective where they're like, oh shit, this guy's really like big with VShoujo. If we upset him, then there goes my chances of, you know, being part of the VShoujo fan club. Don't think it's on Evil Toaster though. I don't think you can hold him attribute. You can attribute that to him because he didn't directly use his influence to say, well, if you don't collaborate with me or give me attention, then I'm going to tell Zentrea you're a big, mean, evil bitch, right? That's on the people who made the allegations against him. But still, yeah, there's been some very high-profile cases of male VTubers being weird, groomy, and sexual. There was that other guy, I forget his name, but there was another one where there was like a male VTuber who had a literal harem where he was like trying to meet up other VTubers for sex. He was like a male lion VTuber, not me, who did ASMR and shit, right? Not me, again. But it's like, it's not quite survivorship bias. It's kind of another word for it. There's so few male VTubers in this space that actually reach any form of success or minor form of micro-celebrity, that when it does happen, it becomes a big news story. It becomes a situation where people are looking at that situation and they're going, oh yeah, look, yet again, another male VTuber being a creepy, perverted weirdo towards women. It's always the male VTubers. And it's like, actually, have we ever actually done any research into like how many male VTubers per capita have actually, you know, been a bit weird and creepy and sexually inappropriate? Because female VTubers are being weird, creepy, and sexually inappropriate all the time. They just get away with it because when a popular youngish woman does it, it's funny, right? When female VTubers are talking about being child snatchers and memeing about being sexually attracted to children, sometimes in real life they do, right? Shotacons will sometimes make those jokes. It's people hand wave it away with the cute girl because it's like, she's just being a cute silly. But there's kind of this attitude where when a man makes sex jokes or he acts in that kind of manner, then it's like, oh, that's not a joke, actually, he's dead serious. So yeah, I think people their pattern recognition skills are a bit fucked up, really. It's more of a, I think it's over exaggerated, honestly. Do you think the opposite is happening with Vidal and other popular male VTubers when women only want to collab for the clout and behave weirdly like all the Vidal shipping? Tora! That's it. Thank you, Azahara Channel. Tora, that was his name. It's something I want to get onto a little bit later to kind of white pill, black pill you. So personally, I've been able to reach out to and hang on, the clip's got a minute left. I'm going to open up with that point. I'm going to talk to you about my experiences of talking behind the scenes with female VTubers who have very parasocial fan bases and don't mail on stream, right? And I'll call it white pill, black pill, because there's some good news that comes from that. I've had some very good experiences of speaking with these kind of VTubers behind the scenes, right? But there's some unfortunate truths you'll have to understand and appreciate if you're a male VTuber in this space. So let's finish the clip and then we'll look at it more holistically.
He is great. My VTuber brother, Owie, he's great.
Yeah, Owie's great.
It's just something about the entertainment industry, I feel like. It just it brings out a lot of bad people in general.
How's it going,
and
buddy?
Women are bad as well.
Yeah, women are bad as well.
They're not as often like sex pesty and stuff. She saw about
not often sex pesty and stuff. I mean, yeah, she is right about that, right? And this is the thing. It talks about like sex pesting between VTubers, and it is usually the men who are more aggressive in their sex pestry than women. And the reason for that is very simple, I think, honestly. My perspective on that is a lot of men in the anime VTubing space are lonely. They're single. Not all of them are, obviously. I know many married people or people with partners in the Phase Connect community who shower their favourite VTuber or Oshi with money and attention. But you're far more likely to be... The chances are much more likely that if you're a male in this space, then you're looking for a girlfriend, you're looking for a wife, you're lonely, and, due to parasocialism, sometimes being with a cute girl who shares a lot of your interests and hobbies makes a brother act a fool, right? Because the problem is that even if you do find a nice girl in real life, how many women in real life like gaming and anime and VTubing and streaming and stuff? I've had 3 girlfriends in the past, and not a single one of them liked gaming, anime, VTubing, whatever, right? So VTuber women are in many respects unicorns, assuming they're not grifting and are genuinely passionate people about this space. And yeah, when you've got terminally online people who've never felt a woman's touch before, and you combine that with the male instinct, which is more aggressive, particularly sexually, it leads to situations where there's probably going to be far more male sex pests in this space than there are women, because women can be hypersexual, because you've got people like Project Melody, who is certainly hypersexual. I know you've got people like Bao, who are potentially, you might say, hypersexual, or Saroe might be hypersexual. But with those two, I'm not sure if those two are just joking around and memeing, or if those two really are like genuinely horny, sex-focused people. I don't know. But you've got people like Cottontail as well, who maybe are. But yeah, I think that's a fair comment to make, although it might upset people who think it's misandry. But there are clear psychological differences based on instinct between men and women.
Behind the curtain. Unfortunately, I have seen behind the curtain a bit too much in some areas. Women do it just in a different way. I feel like with female VTubers, you do see it as well, but it is... I don't know. See it as well. I don't want to get into it. I don't want to... I already said probably too much. I don't want it to be like, oh man.
I love it when Pipper does that. She's like, oh shit, I probably said too much. And it's like, yeah, you did this time. But I like it, honestly. I like it where, this is one of the things I like about Pipper, is that she doesn't have safe takes. I think if she didn't want to deal with stress and drama, then she should probably properly think things through and maybe write it down and kind of articulate it before she writes it down. But this is where I do like content creators and VTubers who do try to deconstruct their thoughts in real time, because it makes them more relatable. I don't like the Ludwig kind of content creators who always have to conjure a perfectly crafted image and make like the safest non-common sense takes. I think if you really have to appreciate the W takes of someone, you have to take the L takes of them as well.
Men are weird. All men are gross.
Seems real enough. Okay, I'll believe you.
I hate male VTubers. I don't hate male VTubers.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of Vesper. I think... I mean, I've never talked to Vesper, but he seems fantastic.
I don't know. I like Vesper as well. I don't know. I've heard some raps, though, about Vesper being a little bit weird, but I mean, I don't know. It doesn't seem to be the case. Vesper seems great. So yeah, he's a good guy as well.
I don't think all men are bad, okay? Let's be 100% clear. I don't even think most men are bad. It's just a lot of male VTubers.
Yeah, and yeah, again, on that point, she's not wrong. I have seen it myself quite a lot where I've seen female VTubers, they've made a post on X, right? And they're asking for a collab, or not. It's not even a case of like asking for a collab. What they'll be doing is they'll be communicating with their chat, right? Even if they're posting on Twitter and it's an open forum, anyone can insert and reply in the comments. But I'll see like a cute VTuber, she'll make an open post and it'll be a conversation really that's meant just for her community, and she'll be like, hey guys, what game should I play? Should I play Escape from Tarkov? You know, should I play some kind of popular FPS or multiplayer FPS or some kinds? That's all the rage these days. And then what I see is I'll see these male VTubers come fucking swarming into the comment section. And I'll be like, oh, pick me, collab with me. Yeah, I'll teach you how to play the game. Yeah, you want to collab? Play with me. Yeah, I'll play Escape from Tarkov with you. Yeah, play with me. Let's collab. Yeah, collab. And it's like, you know, like, that kind of behavior, right? It's kind of a little bit like, that's when it could be perfectly innocent, but that's when you start to get in a bit of the suspicious territory, because if you look at the comment, if you look at the intent behind her comment, she's not asking for a collaboration. She's just asking her community if she should play a game. So when you come barging in a reply section begging for a collab openly, that's always, and particularly you're like a member of the opposite sex, and a man in particular, that does seem slightly suspicious. So we're near the end of the clip, but I'll kind of talk you through how I communicate with women if I'm looking for like a collab, or I'm looking to build some kind of low-key business-based relationship with them. What happened to your face? Oh, the clip's over, yeah. Well, hello. Good afternoon, Pascal Saucer. I am the General Lee, and at Maulington, and I am resurrected from the dead, and I'm here to lead my male VTuber compatriots and show you the way. The South will rise again, gentlemen. But yes, this is a General Lee outfit I've got planned for my America stream on Friday. Homosexuality, I'm not gay, and I'm not furry, and I'm not femboy. Fuck off. What's your take on Pipper toning down her takes? It's just you're like a journalist, Inferno. You're like you got the microphone out and you're like, Maulington, what's your opinion on this? I like it. You're a bad influence on me, Inferno, because I love spouting my opinions on anything and everything. But that's not the focus of today's stream. So now I'm going to get into the serious bit about male VTubing. Okay, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about my experiences. Male VTubing and shit. Oh god, where the fuck? How the fuck? There we go. Hey, there we go. We're back here. Okay, so I'm gonna. You're not unsub best Civil War general. Hell yeah. I don't know. I like Jeb Stewart as well, despite his mistake prior to Gettysburg. I thought Jeb Stewart was a fine cavalry officer. Oh, you need to see the Ori cosplay as well. You mean this woman? Oh wait, I'm blocking her. We'll get to that in a minute. Hang on. We'll get to that in a minute. Right. So male VTubing. Okay, I've seen people get the black pill and they get distraught about male VTubing because they see these comments from people like Pipper. They see the rabid unicorns on 4chan or in the comment section. They see male VTubers get memed on, dunked on, called sex pests. Male VTubers getting in trouble. They see these big drama videos about Torah and your evil toasters and, your big Google Docs and your Discord leaks and shit like that. And I see some unfortunate people out there are genuinely terrified about becoming a male VTuber, or they're terrified that they're genuinely really scared and don't know what to do because they think that because they're a male VTuber, because they have a penis, that everybody thinks they're weird and creepy and that they're dangerous. And that's not the case at all. So to kind of give you the kind of like the lowdown on what most female VTubers in this space really think, right, is if you guys remember, about 9 months ago, I was able to get a interview with Shiki Miyashino from Prison Project. And the way I went about essentially trying to organize this, what was going to be a collab on stream with Shiki, who, and if you don't know Shiki, formerly from Prison Project, is that she's an ASMR VTuber, she is openly she isn't openly a I don't stream with men kind of VTuber, and as a result of those two, oh actually let me put the music back on, and as a result of those two kinds of content that she does, as you can understand, she has a super parasocial fan base of people who, you know, wish to plow her, so to speak. And I was actually able at one point to secure an interview with her, and then kind of what happened, the way I went about that was, instead of like creeping her Twitter replies and creeping her stream, what I did to her is I looked up her business email or like personal email, if she had one that she had open and it was free for people to, you know, send her messages to. So I found her business email and I sent her an email and I said, "Hi Tricky, my name's Lord Maulington. I've done a documentary on Prison Project." She knew I did the documentary as well. She commented on it. But I was like, "Look, Tricky, I'd like to do a collaboration with you. And the reason why I want to do a collaboration with you is for these reasons, right? And it's not because I want to be your friend or I want to date you. It's like, look, I want to have an interview with you because I think your career in Prison Project as a corporate Japanese, like VTuber in a Japanese organization, is interesting, and I'd like to know more about it." And once I explained, you know, why I wanted to interview her, I then outlined what I thought the benefits for both of us would be for this collaboration to go ahead. So I was like, "Look, I think if we did this interview, it'd be a great opportunity for your fan base and the wider VTubing sphere to get to know more about you and how the industry works. And from my perspective, obviously what I get out of it is, of course, I get to essentially expand providing the knowledge of what happens in Prison Project." And after I'd kind of explained to her why I wanted to collaborate with her, what we both stand to gain from the collaboration, she got back to me, and to my great surprise, I expected her to immediately say no, because she is a, you know, no male on stream VTuber. But she actually said yes to begin with. And I think the reason why she said yes at first and she actually felt okay with it in the first instance is because probably having the prior, I guess, what's the word? Having the Prison Project documentary on my resume helped, because that would act as proof that I'm a genuine Prison Project fan just looking to expand the lore and history of Prison Project. But then also it shows, right, that this is strictly for business. I'm not looking to further our relationship in a social manner. And then kind of what happened in the end is, about a couple days before this interview was about to take place, she changed her mind and she said that she didn't want to do it anymore, and she was very apologetic about it. She was very nice about it, and she said the reason why she didn't want to do it in the end is kind of like last minute. She just recently reaffirmed to her audience that she will never do collabs with men, right? And so she was like, "Look, I don't want to, I know having men on stream makes my fan base very uncomfortable." And I said, "Yeah, you know what, that's no problem, actually. I kind of expected you to give me that answer in the first place. You know, I thought that would happen. So I don't feel, I'm not offended at all. I'm not upset. So, you know, thank you for your time anyway. I appreciate it." And then what she did, bless her, out of the kindness of her heart, is that even though we couldn't go ahead and do the interview stream collab, is that instead what she did is she spent the time to answer every single one of my questions and write me back an email so that I could then work with that for my future documentary on Shiki, right? So again, that was very nice of her to do that. But the point I want to make, right, about that whole situation is that what you guys need to remember if you're a male VTuber is that when a female VTuber ghosts you or doesn't want to interact with you in any way, it's probably most likely because she doesn't want to upset the unicorns in a chat. She doesn't want to upset the parasocial people. And I know you might be disappointed with that and you might be upset with that. You know, you think it's not fair that you can it's really cringe, right? But like Evil Toaster said, right, I can appreciate why male VTubers get upset sometimes. They can't just hang out with the girlies because the unicorns and the parasocials will get fucking furious. But what you guys have to remember, what you have to appreciate at the end of the day, is that there are a massive chunk of people, viewers in this industry, who do only watch VTubers because they want to fuck the VTuber, or the idea. Why the fuck did it change to a British song? Ew. But the idea of at least one day being in a relationship with a VTuber is basically the main reason why they watch them. And there are people who are conscious of this fact, and these tend to be the very aggressive, outspoken people. But there are people who probably don't realize it as well, right? These are the people who might seem normal and well-rounded at first, but then the moment their Oshi or favorite VTuber has a male on stream, even if it's like a completely safe Hollow Stars guy, will absolutely just freak the fuck out and call her like a disgusting whore bitch, right? So you can't take rejection from women seriously. It's very unlikely that they actually despise you or hate you, or that there's something wrong or weird about you. Unfortunately, there are a lot of female VTubers in this space. They're very young and they haven't had like a job before, and they've basically decided to be professional VTubers, and many of them do genuinely rely on their whales, and they do rely on their viewer base so that they can eat and live, basically. So they can't do anything that would seriously jeopardize their main income stream. So yeah, if you're a male VTuber, you're going to face a lot of rejection and you're going to be excluded from the women VTubers. You know, don't try not to get angry, try not to get upset about it. It's going to happen. Their livelihood relies on it. It's the nature of the business. But the thing you have to take into account as well is it's not only about them losing their, potentially like losing their income source, which they need to live, but also people go into VTubing for different reasons. There are people who come here purely for the love of the game, right? There are people here who are just passionate about VTubing, content creation, and do it for fun. People like me. But then there are people out there who are focused solely on the prize. They want to be a big famous VTuber. They want to be an e-celeb. They want to stream for a living. They want to be rich, famous, and popular by YouTubing. And so when you want to collaborate with people, you have to try to not be selfish and kind of understand and rationalize the reasons as to why anyone, whether it's a female VTuber or even another male VTuber, and why they maybe don't want to hang out with you. Because it could be due to not wanting to alienate their existing fan base. It could also be due to the fact that they're like, look, I've only got so many hours in the day. I'm on the grind. I want to be a popular VTuber. I want to up my funny numbers. I can't be wasting my time with literal 1 views, 2 views, who we don't have no chemistry or history with, right? It's a waste of my time. Right? Yeah, unfortunately, you have to put up with that kind of thing. So if you want to, it's a general advice I give to you, whether you want to interact with female VTubers or male VTubers, is that if you're going to approach someone about a collaboration, be polite about it, explain why you want to collaborate with that person, maybe explain why you think they'd be a good fit as well, because then that would essentially let them know that you're being genuine and that you're not trying to use them in any way. Because I know that's a big thing people brainworm about. They brainworm about thinking, oh, if I ask a bigger content creator for a collaboration, they probably think I'm some kind of parasite looking to use their influence to further my own career. And sure, I mean, anyone who's a bigger content creator can kind of get that suspicion sometimes, but if you prove that you do genuinely like the person, right, and you do follow them, then hopefully the worst you'll get is a ghosting, really, right? Or maybe a no, depending on your point of view. I don't know. You could find maybe getting the no or ghosting worse. I don't know. But the worst they'll usually say is no. And I think you'll vastly up your chances if you're professional about it. But I do know, the thing is, at the same time, I do know male VTubers who have formed good friendships with female VTubers just by regularly interacting with a female VTuber's tweets. Like Bagstood is a fantastic example of how to network with women in this industry, despite being a male VTuber, right? So if you want to know, rather than listening to me, honestly, if you want to know how to be a male VTuber in this space and be so well respected and liked that even female unicorn-friendly VTubers aren't afraid to be openly friendly, you know, and positive with you. Look at someone like Ugly Bastard. He's the perfect example of this. And I think the reason why Bagman is able to do this so well is because there's zero flirtatious commentary in the reply section he has of VTubers. Whenever he's replying under female VTubers, he actually reads and listens to what that VTuber's saying, and he's always constructive with them, right? He's always actually replying to whatever the tweet is in a mature, constructive manner. What he's not doing is constantly showering female VTubers with compliments. He's not I can't say this word. He's not infantilizing them. He's treating them like a normal human being. And that's ultimately the best way to speak to women, even over VTubing and over this space, right? Is that women get the ick from overly flirtatious men, and they also get the ick from men who shower them with compliments and niceties and the thing they want to hear. Women actually like you and respect you more when you treat them like a normal human being, whether that's on real life or on the internet. So you don't need to, if you're a male VTuber, you don't need to worry about being seen as a creepy, gross pervert. Basically, as long as you're just not a shitty, creepy, weird person, just speak to other people in this space, whether it's men or women. Just be polite, be professional, and respect people's boundaries and respect their time, and that'll get you very far, honestly. Even a fucking spurging cringe weirdo like myself can find like female VTubers and businesses who want to deal with him, right? So don't worry about it. Don't overthink things. Don't brain worms. And on that subject as well, sorry guys, I know you're sending donations, but let me finish my point, otherwise I'm going to forget where the fuck I am. Another point I want to get onto, okay, is that what I want to remind you guys is that VTubing it's a gynocentric industry. So what I mean by that is, if you don't know what that word means, the vast majority of content creators in this space are women, right? And most people on the internet, on X in particular, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, people who are really into VTubing and anime are some of the most socially maladjusted, terminally online, retarded, cringe, simp, fucking weirdo, retards, dickheads that I've ever seen in my life. And the problem is that if you spend too much time on the internet, if you spend too much time on VTubing Twitter or following VTuber drama, it completely destroys and distorts your perspective of what normality truly is. So what I mean by that is, right, for example, if you're in the Niji sister community, right, let's say you're deep in the Niji sister hole. Well, as far as Niji sisters are concerned, any form of sexualization of females, no matter how tasteful as it can be, or any form of slur throwing, those are like the worst forms of offense that you can possibly cause, right? You can't even tastefully admire the female form in the Niji sister community without being eaten alive gleefully or burned at the stake by them. Same thing with slurs. And then what happens if you spend too much time in that little cult, in that hug box, you start to think that it's normal to shame people, to destroy people for, you know, for like a man, for example, to be mildly sexualizing women, or it starts to train you to think that using slurs or being offensive is unacceptable and that you need to be, you know, destroyed and deplatformed and silenced for it. But what I'll say is, right, is that women by their nature are usually quite non-confrontational, and they're quite easily influenced and led by the group, right, by the most powerful social group in their vicinity. Whereas men, not all men, I know there are meek men as well, but most of us men, we're far more likely to stand our ground, be aggressive, and unashamedly say what our opinions and thoughts are. And it's also in our nature as well to perhaps more aggressively maybe appreciate and maybe sexualize a little bit the female form. But there are tasteful ways you can do this and untasteful ways to do this. So like, for example, all right, let's get back to the, let me move this over here. Let's get over to the Yuri streamer for a second, right? So let's take this lovely lady here, right? This absolutely fantastic woman. Now, to go to this woman's profile, right? To go replying to her tweets and basically directly thirsting over her and telling her that she's got a nice, lovely, you know, pair of tits and you know, that she's really fucking sexy and stuff like that. That's definitely crossing boundaries. That's absolutely out of line. That's unacceptable, creepy sex pest behavior. But for us to be here on this stream, away from her attention and looking at this and going, damn, this is a hot woman, right? This is a damn sexy woman. She's very, very attractive. I like this. This is nice. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. It's perfectly normal male behavior. If you don't think like that, if you don't think this woman is smoking hot, then I'm sorry, but you're a raging homosexual, and you shouldn't be ashamed of saying that this woman is hot. But the thing is that the problem is about being in a gynocentric industry is that women will tend to find those kinds of comments and to find that behavior disgusting. And because they probably haven't had much interaction with men before, in any regard, particularly they probably haven't had like a, you know, quote unquote real job before and been in a professional industry with men, they think, you know, they would take the comments, they would take the appreciation of the female form as being disgusting and unacceptable and something that needs correcting or something that we should be ashamed about. But it's one of those things where we actually have to push back and say, look, no, no, this is what men are. This is what we're like. We like this stuff. And as long as we don't cross those boundaries and go into inappropriate behavior where we're making genuine, you know, suggestions openly, or we're directly harassing this very talented woman on her socials, it's perfectly fine for us to be like this. If you have a problem with it, you know, fuck off, basically. And it's the other thing as well, is that women in particular are very sensitive to being criticized, and women are very sensitive to people who stray from the group think. George Orwell talks about this in 1984, where he mentions in his book that it was always the woman, particularly the young women, who were the most gleeful swallowers of the party slogans, etc. And kind of what I want to say, what kind of my point I want to make is, after all that waffle to my male VTuber friends, is that sometimes you're going to have to stand your ground, and you may find yourself in a situation where a lot of people are jumping down your throat and calling you a bad person or weird or inappropriate for having what is actually quite a normal or reasonable or maybe relatively controversial take. And it's up to you at the end of the day to decide if you want to be a Merryweather kind, where you fold like a bag of croutons the moment you get any form of pushback on the internet, or you could take the Kirscher route, where you say, or like the Jim Metico route, where you say, look, this is what I believe. I think it's normal and fine. If you have a problem with that, I don't give a shit. Go fuck yourself. So it's up to you at the end of the day to decide if you want to stick to your principles, or if you do want to roll over like a dog and show your belly every time you get criticized. But don't let women, and don't let like 18-year-old retard TikTok Zoomers dictate to, like too many online Zoomers dictate to you what is and isn't acceptable, right? You should, if you've been raised right, you know, and you're not a fucking creep, you understand where boundaries are, right? And you should spend some time away from the internet and don't lose your perspective on what normalcy is. Because if you get off the internet, you get away from the Niji sister section, what you'll realize is that people do say slurs, people do say swears, and people aren't afraid of speaking their piece and potentially offending people and protecting their point of view, sticking to their principles outside of the space, right? Don't get one-guyed. Don't let a bunch of stupid, dumb feminist women and their idiot simp, you know, followers terrify you into being some kind of limp-wristed cuck eunuch, right? Yeah, and it's a tricky balance, because what I'm not saying from that is that you go out there and you start, you know, you don't go out there, right, and you don't start like, it's a bit hypocritical for me to say this, because I did repost this image and I did leave a comments just saying holy shit, right? And that's not crossing any boundaries in my opinion. That's on the acceptable level of being a bit of a cheeky man making comments about a woman's lovely form, right? That's you know, that's not too bad, right? But I'm not saying you go out there and you're just unashamedly talking about how you like a nice big fat pair of tits and how you want to fuck these chicks. But at the same time, don't be ashamed of being attracted to people of the opposite sex, and don't be ashamed of sticking to your principles, right? Don't get bullied into doing it. So hang on, before I get on to my next point, so it reminds me, because I'm going to forget, the next point I want to get on to is content creation and male VTubing. So we'll get away from like the social, we'll get away from the PR side, we'll get away from culture, and we'll talk about content creation from a male VTuber's perspective. Remind me as I go through chats, I'm going to forget. So thank you very much for the 10 Swiss francs. Hang on, let me get everything up. Thank you very much for... Oh, shit, I forgot about the nyas. Thank you, Vega. Fuck. Oh, my God. Thank you very... Thank you very much for the 10 Swiss francs, Vega, buddy. Yeah? Where are the nyas, Maulington? Remember the covenant, yeah? I'm terribly sorry, Vega, yeah? I'll try to remember for the rest of the stream, gal. Thank you very much for the $5, Daniel Sierra, buddy, yeah? Friendly reminder, Maulington is currently running a donathon, yeah? If you like his content and takes, consider donating, gal. He'll put on a maid dress at 1k, yeah. Thank you very much for reminding everybody about that donathon, gal, Daniel Sierra, buddy, yeah. Hobosaki Clips talked me into adding that one, yeah. And I thought, you know what, let's do it for a meme, yeah. With no way in hell we're ever going to hit 1k, yeah. And after 2 days, we're at like 270 or something, gal. So now it's like, oh shit, I've got like another 20 days or so of this donathon, yeah. We might actually hit it, and now I'm absolutely mortified, gal. But you know what? I'm not going to be too distraught over dressing up like a maid, yeah. The one we're definitely not going to hit is the $2,000 goal, gal. Where at $2,000, yeah, I was going to... cosplay Hatsune Miku and do the caramel dancing live on stream, yeah. Now that we're definitely never gonna hit, right? That's not happening in a million years. But fucking hell, imagine if it did, gal. That'd be absolutely mortifying as fuck. And I mean, you're all gay as well, by the way, yeah, for wanting me to dress up like that, gal. Thank you very much for the 5 gifted memberships again, Daniel Sierra, buddy, yeah. Vega, I just saw a red fucking donut. Stop. Yeah. Oh my god. Not a fanboy, yeah. I'm not a... Look, okay, you guys are the one who are fucking grooming me, gal. Tempting fate. I'm not tempting fate, yeah. Okay, it's not happening. You can donate. You're throwing your money away, yeah. But thank you very much for the 50 Swiss francs, Vega, buddy. I will hold you to it, yeah. Look, Maulington stands by his word, okay? When Maulington makes a promise, he will fulfill his promise, gal. When I was sculpting Iori figure, I sure as hell was enjoying making her body. No one could tell me that it's wrong to appreciate the female body. Exactly, yeah. And this is the thing, it's okay. Women are probably going to find you a bit weird and creepy if you do it. But, you know, it's okay for women to find some of the things you do disgusting. I generally speaking, if I ever wanted a woman's opinion on anything, I wouldn't, honestly. If I wanted a woman's opinion on something, I'd rather ask a man instead. You can quote me on that one. I got a phone call and had to mute the stream, but the image on stream kept distracting me, yeah. Hell yeah, line. Thank you very much for the $10, Pinochet buddy. Pushing the goal, gal. Oh my god, thank you very much, my friends. You know, memes aside, and I know you want to see me humiliate myself, but thank you very much for the donations, guys. 100% of the donations that you're giving to me will go to an Oshi push tournament that I'm trying to arrange between the FaZe Connect Clippers at first. I've kind of got a plan going for a tournament, yeah? So for this tournament, I'm going to get the FaZe Connect Clippers, yeah, to play a deck of their Oshi, yeah? So like Hobosaki Clips Gal will be playing the Iori deck, yeah? People like Mori will be playing the NASA deck, yeah? And all the FaZe Connect Clippers will fight using their Oshi stacks, and we'll see who wins, yeah? And I'll split 100% of the prize money in Oshi Push rewards across all of them. And then, yeah. And then what I'll do at a future day is, once I've kind of cut I've never hosted a tournament before. So once I've cut my teeth with this Oshi Push Clipper tournament, yeah, is that I'll start making wider open seat tournaments, yeah, over Tabletop Simulator, for the greater FaZe Connect community, or anyone who wants to play Oshi Push Gal, because I think that would be great fun. I think a lot of FaZe Connect, you know, fans would love to find other FaZe Connect fans to play Oshi Push with, play the Oshi's deck, yeah, and you know, whilst they're doing it, maybe talk about, you know, FaZe Connect and their favourite VTubers, yeah. I think that'd be nice and fun and wholesome, gal. See Maulington live, he calls me gay off rip. It's a good day. How's it going? It's going, buddy, yeah. All of you here are gay, okay, I'm calling it now. Hobo versus Netcro. Yeah, Hobo versus Netcro, for example, gay. Okay, gal. I just went from my phone to my PC. I'm really appreciating this cosplay. I'm really appreciating this cosplay as well. She's got so many phenomenal pictures of this cosplay on her Twitter profile. I love it. Gal. If I want a woman's opinion, I'll ask a man. Lord Maulington 2025. Thank you very much, my ear trumpet. Thank you very much, Mr. Male VTuber Alt. I hope you're at least you're getting validated by the things I'm saying, or maybe, I don't know, you're finding any of this useful. I don't know, gal. I can't play a Pipper deck, gal. I changed my Pipper deck actually, Nova. You might like my new Pipper deck, yeah. Is there a Discord or something to learn play Oshi Push online? Kind of. We are working on a fan Discord to do that at the moment, gal. We're not quite done yet, but Japanime Games do have an official Discord and an Oshi Push section where you can certainly talk about it. I do plan on making a video with a quick rundown on how to play Oshi Push and how all the mechanics work, gal. Not as gay as the furry. Oh shit, actually, hang on a minute. Oh, I forgot. Oh god, what's the hotkey again? It's F12. There we go. I'm the General Lee Maulington cat. There we go. I've got my tail back and my ears. But you can't quite see the ears. Name of that cosplayer? Hang on. I'll give you guys her Twitter so that you can appreciate her with me. 1 second. Let me find it. Bear with me as I do the scroll and go into silence. I bookmark way too much shit, man. Oh my god, I really have bookmarked a lot since Offkai. Ooh. Probably should. Hang on. Okay, one more for you gooners. I'll show you one more picture. Okay. Hopefully YouTube doesn't ban me for this, for nudity. That was Pipper's cosplayer there. You like? Did you like it? Oh shit, I can't see the... Is it just like... Oh my god, has she blocked me or something? I can't see my bookmarks of her. That'd be funny if she's blocked me. No, she hasn't. Okay. Here she is. Okay, I'll send you her... I'll link in the chat. I'll link you her Twitter profile, guys. Here we go. Close that. There you go. There you go. There she is, if you want to see her. No trumpet. It's only Origins talents that have Oshi Push cards currently. Yes. At the moment, guys, only Generation 1 have cards in Oshi Push. But to give you a little spoiler, of course, it's always Straw Torch. Who else is it but Straw Torch? But yeah, so... but to give you a little spoiler, the third set for Oshi Push will be Generation 2 of FaZe Connect. So not the next set, the set after that. So I can confirm there will be Chisaka Airi. Sorry, there'll be Panko Komachi, Chisaka Airi, Erina Makina, Himamiya Rie, Ramelia Nephis, and there will be an Amanagawa Shina decks as well. So yeah, we have that to look forward to in a couple, well, maybe several months' time. I don't know when they're going to release it. But it is coming. Yep. Yes, thank you very much for the $5 trumpet. Where was I? Awooga. Hey, GD. Yeah, so I'll keep it on here for now, and then when I get to the FaZeCon bit, we'll go back to the FaZeCon. So like, yeah, damn, calm down, GD. Jesus Christ, calm down. We're trying to beat the men of sex pest allegations. But then, see, this is the thing, guys. GD is the perfect example right here. See, GD is a normie. GD, calm down. Fucking hell. GD is a normie. Kind of. He's half normie, half one of us, right? And this is the point I was making. This is perfectly normal behavior for a man to do. Now, GD, right, and myself would never dare do this female VTuber, this cosplayer to her face or directly under her replies, right? But it's fine in our own little men's spaces to appreciate this fine woman and her lovely Yuris, yeah? Straw Torch is a good oomph. Yeah, Straw Torch is a good oomph until he's reposting. No, wait, no, actually, I think it's Cry High that does that. Never mind. Cry High is a bad oomph. Oomphy. Fucking Cry High and reposting Shotacon futa porn, which I never wanted to see in my lifetime. But that's why I'm upset with Cry High. He reposted Shota futa in my timeline, and I don't know how to turn off reposts on Twitter. And I was like, ugh! Didn't want to see that, thank you. Will those come out before the first card ship? Yeah, probably, Hobo. If you haven't been following the news of Oshi Push, they have started releasing the stuff now. I appreciate they haven't even finished releasing the pre-debut packs yet, but both pre-debut and retail are, pre-debut and Kickstarter are shipping this month. So I imagine you'll probably get your stuff in August or September. Talking about male VTubers and how sex pesty they are, I would wipe pooper with my tongue. Hey! And that's the thing, right? Is that, again, you know, we joke about this shit, but some of the shit, right, we see in these weird groom chords and then these creepy DMs from some of these male VTubers like Tora are a million times worse than what Azahara Channel here is saying. Again, what Azahara Channel is saying is funny. You know, as men were like, true based. But you wouldn't do this in front of the woman because it's most ungentlemanly, right? But don't feel ashamed. Don't feel ashamed for thinking this way. And if someone comes in your stream one day and they go, oh, hey, look at this, Lord Maulington's talking about how much he appreciates this lovely woman's Yuris, I wouldn't feel the slightest bit ashamed or worried about it, honestly. If the kids and the gays came to try to counsel me, I'd call them a bunch of slurs and tell them to fuck off, right? Stick to your principles, guys. Don't be ashamed of being a man. Don't be ashamed of offending people. Don't be ashamed of being honest. Don't be ashamed of appreciating the female form. Straw kind of chilled out his horny posting. He did chill out his horny posting. I follow Straw Torch quite a lot. He's still around. He's okay. Straw Torch is. Straw Torch is still a damn good man. He's just calmed down the horniness a bit. You just have to know where it's acceptable. Just make an ARC about their feet and play it off a joke. Actually, that's another point I want to make as well, by the way. You see, the other thing as well is that many female... We talk about sex pestry, but many female VTubers do invite this, by the way. They do deliver... I hate... that. It sounds like I'm saying that they deserve it, right? It sounds like I'm saying they have it coming. It's like, oh, that fucking bitch wearing that miniskirt, she had it coming. I'm not victim blaming. However, the thing is about some female VTubers I see is that they do the girlfriend experience, they do the feet ASMR, they do the feet cam streams, they do the streams where they're flaunting their real life assets. You know, they deliberately sexualize both their model and they sexualize their VTubing model, and they have the secret membership streams where they have public masturbation streams. And then you see many of these same people, many of these same women turn around and go, why the fuck are men so creepy and disgusting? And it's like, yeah, to some extent, even if you do that stuff and you actively invite it and encourage it, you can hold the men responsible to some extent for not restraining themselves and being gentlemen and being, I guess, more less gooner and degenerate about it. But at the same time, it's like, if I go to Harlem Street, right, if I go to Harlem in New York with a great big briefcase full of millions of dollars in my brand new Bentley, and I get my fucking wheels stolen and I get like robbed and mugged and stabbed and fucking killed, at the end of the day, who's really at fault there? Am I a victim of a mugging, or am I a fucking retard for being where I shouldn't have been as a white man flashing a shitload of cash? You know, it's like, for many of these women who cry about their weird, disgusting men like following them around, sure, many of them do nothing to deserve it. They don't indulge or encourage parasocialism of any kind. They're just a perfectly normal woman who wants to grill and entertain her fan base with whatever she has to offer. But what you'll see, particularly when times are tough and the funny numbers are down and she's not getting the attention she likes to anymore, you'll see VTubers all of a sudden start flaunting their real life assets, doing the VTuber versus real life shit, showing their feet on camera or whatever fetishy. They'll be trying different pairs of trying different pairs of high heels on stream, and they'll be opening up thrones, going, buy me fucking, I don't know, $200 women's shoes that we all like, and I'll like do a stream where I'm, I don't know, crushing as a horror channel on my high heels or shit, I don't know. Right, so many of these women, they're fucking hypocrites. They know full well what they're doing. They invite this attention on themselves, and it's a bit hypocritical of them to cry about sex pest behavior when they indulge the gooning and the memeing and all that shit, right? So again, if women got together and put their foot down and were more straightforward with their boundaries, then it would happen considerably less than it does. But they don't want to do that, because many of these female VTubers know that if they did show their true discomfort for the gooning and the degeneracy and the fetish memes, then they would be seen as a bit of a, what's the word, a black fish in the pond, and people would stop watching them and they'd stop getting as much money as they used to. So it's kind of like a moral argument, really. Do you feel sorry for them, or do you not? Do you understand it? Do you appreciate what they're doing, or do you think they deserve it by inviting it in the first place? Basically, it's two ways you can see it. I feel like you're conflating two very different things. Okay. Maybe. Let's think about that for a second. Hang on, let me read the chat whilst I think about that. A victim of cause and effect. Yeah, I guess that's a succinct way of saying it. The way I'd see it is, I don't know. I'm trying to think of how that would be conflating two different things. Yeah, explain your perspective to me, a coach of lunacy. That would probably help me understand. That'll help me understand. Yeah, explain your point of view. How you see that as conflating it as two different things. You get the audience who deserve, as you say. Is that like the lewd tubers getting mad at clippers at clickbait lewd stuff? Yeah, it can go beyond that as well, right? It's not just about lewd tubing. It's like, we all know deep down, really, when a content creator does like the feet ASMR and she's actually showing her feet or her armpits and shit, that's not silly haha funny thus, right? That's not a distinct, how do I say this? Have you guys seen Pulp Fiction? Have you guys seen Pulp Fiction, right? And there's that scene in Pulp Fiction when Jules and Vincent are talking about Vincent taking care of Marcellus Wallace's wife, and they're having that argument about whether tickling a woman's feet is just, you know, a close but appropriate thing to do with the boss's wife, or whether it's actually quite a sexual and deeply intimate, highly inappropriate thing to do. And I guess we're all going to have different moral values about this. But as far as I'm concerned, right, the way I see it is that, sure, you can do like the quiet whisper streams, you can do the ASMR streams, and you can do certain kinds of GFE and roleplay streams that are fine, that they're clearly separated between this is entertainment and you shouldn't read too much into this. But then there's some stuff that female VTubers do, and they know that what they're doing goes beyond just entertainment, and it's basically a kind of form of softcore pornography, right? And the thing is that when you're doing a kind of content that will get men to, you know, masturbate over your physical body, then sure, I think a good chunk of men will just goon and then get on with their day and they'll forget about you. But, you know, there are some men out there who, when they listen to the GFE streams and they watch the feet ASMR streams where you're doing the tricks of your feet and whatnot, as they're gooning to your assets, it builds a deeper it does something to your brain. It becomes a ritual, it becomes a habit, and it starts to go beyond entertainment to where they now form an unhealthy attachment to gooning to your body. And I think that there are many female VTubers out there who will, on the one hand, cry about people going too far, but then they do everything in their power to invite that kind of a fan base in the first place, right? And I think that's one of the things that annoys me. I see it as hypocrisy. Sorry, yeah, I think you replied, didn't you, Coach Lunacy? Let me see your perspective. So, Pipper has never sexualized herself, so almost all levels of sexualization... Pipper has never sexualized herself, so almost any levels of sexualization or Suna content is too much. This beautiful lady on screen is producing content that is to some level sexual, so some level of Guna posting should be expected. Yeah, but my point is, the point I'm making is that, to my knowledge, this cosplayer doesn't have a problem with the attention that she's getting from men or people like myself, right? She's quite clearly here. She's loving it. I mean, look at her. She's showing everything. She's lifting her skirt up to show us the entirety of her thighs. She knows full well how well endowed she is. She knows exactly what she can see. And she's giving us a smile and a wink. She doesn't have a problem with it. If you don't have a problem with flaunting it, then that's fine. That's no problem. The problem is that when you get these women, my point is that you get VTubers who will cry and bitch and moan about men being creepy and weird and sex pests in their chat and streams. And it's like, yeah, you know, I do feel bad for you to some extent, because these people usually are crossing that boundary. But you've invited these kinds of people to your audience in the first place by producing this kind of content. You play with fire, you're going to get burned. Now, if you're getting a large concentration of people who feel like it's appropriate to openly sexualize you in the chat, there are some VTubers who get this an awful lot more than others, right? And you have to take a look at the ones who do get this a lot versus the ones who don't. The ones who don't regularly have to come out in public on Twitter and say, stop being fucking weird and sexually aggressive towards me, tend to be gravitate heavily towards the people who don't do GFV and fetish content, right? So if you're going to do it, that's not to say you can't complain about people crossing your boundaries, and you absolutely should make those boundaries known and tell people off for doing it. But, you know, don't lump that all men, all male VTubers shit on us. It's not all men. You're attracting that specific kind of individual to your stream. Fuck, I'm forgetting to nya. Vega remind me, nya. I already forget. So you have to forgive me, I'm an old man, nya. But, as well, another thing I'd say to male VTubers that you have to remember, Gal, is that unfortunately there are... I do think that most female VTubers in this space have no problems with men, yeah. They just want to look out for number one, which is themselves, and not alienate their fan base who gives them the income, Gal. We've established that, but at the same time, there are also quite a few women in this space who are blue-head feminists who do genuinely fucking hate men for no good reason at all, yeah. And you'd be surprised at who some of these VTubers are. Yeah, some of them are even semi-respectable corporate VTubers, Gal. And again, one thing I'd say to you as well, kind of going back to being worried about your reputation, or maybe you're being upset by some of the rhetoric you see about kind of like a social group or an identity group that you belong to, Gal, is that when you have like these radical shitlib, and again, when I use the word shitlib, by the way, I know there's all kinds of people in this community, in my community, people who are liberals, we've got conservatives, we've got unironic neo-Nazis, I think, and all that kind of shit, right? Again, you know, I don't hate people who are liberal or left-wing, right? That's not a shitlib, right? I even if I may massively disagree with your political opinions on or economic opinions on shit, whatever, right? The shitlib is like your anal violence. People like Nyara, people who use identity or politics or whatever as a shield to basically hide their disgusting, aggressive, you know, offensive behavior. That's what I mean by the shitlib. I don't mean people who are left-wing or liberal, right? I just want to make that clear. But yeah, the point I want to make is, Gal, is that you will come across plenty of women who have been radicalized online or by the government or whatever the fuck, because, you know, the mainstream media society these days has been on a massive misandry, male hate, white man hate, spree for at least like 20 years now. And I know it might seem upsetting to see these comments from these VTubers. You might be disappointed to see it comes from some pretty big VTubers sometimes, gal, or even these like weird male feminists, gal. And the thing is about many male feminists, by the way, who like orbit these women, is that the vast majority of them are like pedophiles or like they've raped women themselves, ironically. But the point I want to make is, okay, about these kinds of people, is that don't concern yourself with the opinions of people who are complete fucking scum, quite frankly, gal. Right? I know it can, if you are the focal point of attention, right, I can imagine that for people like Pipper and Kershaw, although they're quite strong, they refuse to apologise for who they are and what they are, and they show quite a strong front, God bless them, gal. You know, when you go on the internet every day and people are always talking about you, you've always got, you know, hate mail, and you've got people making documentaries and shit talking you. It can wear you down, and it can get you down sometimes, right, gal? But try your best not to let the comments of complete scum get you down, gal. Don't ego search. Never ego search on any of the funny websites or Reddit, 4chan, whatever, right, gal? Completely try to disassociate yourself. Don't interact, don't associate yourself with people who fucking hate you, no matter in what way they hate you, whether they hate you for male on streaming, whether they hate you for being a male, a certain identity, for your politics agenda, whatever. Just focus on yourself, focus on your content, and support and associate with people who you like and who you share common ground with, and you'll be happy, you'll be less insecure, and you won't be so worried, right? Don't concern yourself with the opinions of scum, because they're really not worth it, and it'll make your life miserable. And it'll be a self-fulfilling prophecy where if you try to entertain people who hate you and won't watch you anyway, you try to appeal to them, they're never going to watch you in the first place because they don't actually care. They just want to virtue signal and circle jerk each other. But even if you do somehow manage to win their attention and appreciation, you have to maintain, like Jordan Peterson said, you have to maintain this endless spiral of purity forever, and eventually it reaches this point where the standards you have to hold are literally impossible to, you know, maintain, and then they'll gleefully eat you alive, kind of like what happened to Anna Valens and Yara when they went running off to Blue Sky to kind of act like the conquering heroes after fighting the Chuds and the Kershaw fan base. And then they got kicked off of Blue Sky and came back to Twitter because, funnily enough, their own kind hates them more than the Chuds do on Twitter, which is funny, right? But yeah, try to focus on, don't concern yourself with these miserable people who hate you. Just focus on making friends, focus on developing partnerships with people who you do share common ground with in the space. And remember as well, I think a lot of people in VTubing getting onto content, I think a lot of people in VTubing think you need to collab and that you think you need to have lots of networks, lots of contacts, lots of partnerships, lots of friends in order to get ahead in VTubing. And I think this is actually, let me read the donor fonts before I read this point. Thank you very much for the gifted membership, I study, buddy girl. Yeah, you know who I mean. Yes, you probably do know who I mean as the RO channel. I am also a fan of the funny websites. So yeah, we're in the same circles, right? But the point I want to make as well is that, again, on the subject of male VTubing and content creation. So, and I think we are going to have to make a part 3, by the way. Fuck. I am waffling on way too much about this than I thought I would. But on the point of male VTubing and content creation, I think that inherently VTubers have a very far too of a narrow scope on what content creation is. In my opinion, you shouldn't look at content creation as VTuber content creation. At the end of the day, VTubing is a medium. This is a way we choose to express our content. There's etiquette, there are social norms in VTubing, but there is no real singular monolithic VTubing community. There is a general culture, but that is not a community. And you can, at your own peril, choose to follow VTubing etiquette or not. It's up to you. So kind of to explain what I mean by that, take a look at content creators like the Spiffing Brit, for example. So the Spiffing Brit would be I reckon he'd be no less popular than he is today than if he went. If the Spiffing Brett was a VTuber, started off as a VTuber, I reckon he'd be no less popular than he is today, because his content has a massive universal appeal that people will see past. And this is the thing that people forget about content creation, is that people come to watch VTubers for entertainment, really, and there are positive modifiers and negative modifiers to being a VTuber, whether male or female. If you are a VTuber, you're going to face some kind of a debuff where normies are going to assume because you're a VTuber, you're a man with a voice changer, or you're some cringe, gay, weeb, autistic simp, fucking loser, and that your content is shit and Guna bait, right? So you're probably not likely to attract, you're going to attract a considerably less volume of normies than you would, you know, VTuber fans. But that's not to say that you can't transcend the stigma of the medium. There are, obviously, by looking at the stream right now, there are 79 people watching this stream, despite the fact that I am a male on stream, right? So in terms of gaining some kind of a fan base, in terms of gaining some kind of viewership, being a man doesn't stop me from being a 2-view to sometimes 3-view when I actually make content on the shit you subscribe to me for in the first place, which is talking about Face Connect. And there are people out, and the great thing about being a male VTuber is that you're far more likely to gain a pool, you're far more likely to pass the vibe check with normies than women are. Normies don't, generally speaking, have a hostile and derogatory opinion towards female VTubers. They have a hostile opinion of male VTubers too, but they're far more likely to be open to the idea that male VTubers are entertaining. And over the years, I have been able to attract quite a few perfectly like normal people who don't really watch female VTubers, but they like getting a man's perspective on content creation, because, you know, as fucking weird and cringe and sometimes effeminate as I can be, you know, I don't act like I'm not crying or talking about shoes or acting like melodramatic and overly emotional all the time. So there is an audience for people out there, for male VTubers. And I think that when it comes to content creation, if given the choice between simping over a cute girl or like hanging out with the boys, I think most people, whether they be normie or VTuber fan, would rather choose the boys effect over the fawning over the cute girl effect. So, like, take Asmongold for example, okay? Now, we all know Lumi's my Kamiyoshi. However, given the choice between watching Asmongold talk about US politics and Donald Trump and watching Lumi talk about Warhammer 40k Gal, I'm watching Asmongold. I'd rather watch Asmongold and the boys talk about politics and Donald Trump Gal than watching, you know, some silly VTuber woman talk about, you know, some stupid VTuber shit, right? So essentially what I'm trying to get the point across is, don't look at content creation in the narrow perspective of VTubing Gal. Don't think, oh, I'm a VTuber, therefore I need to do this kind of content Gal. Treat it like the medium it is. So if you want to make like military history documentaries that people like Mark Fountain or Drakfindal do, but you're a VTuber, you absolutely can just go ahead and do that. You can make perfectly normie content. If you want to just be a regular, like basically, you know, a kind of regular Twitch streamer using a VTuber model, go ahead and do that. No one's stopping you. No one can take your VTuber card away. No one can go, actually, if you're going to use an anime boy avatar, then it's required that you act autistic, it's required that you do react slop, and it's required that you act cringe and weird all the time, Gal. Do whatever the fuck you want. And if you make content that's worth watching and it's enjoyable, people will watch you regardless as to your gender or what your identity is. There are people who are transphobic who watch people like Lulu Tiala, and people really like Lulu Tiala. I really like Lulu Tiala as well, because she's just a genuinely relatable, lovely, entertaining person. And that's the thing people forget, right? If you take a look at a lot of the most popular male content creators, forget about VTubers, most of them are fat, like really obesely fat, disgusting, slovenly messes. right? The kind of people who would get ruthlessly bullied for being grotesque and complete losers in in real life. But because they're so entertaining and because people like them, they don't give a shit. They basically become blind to it. And the same thing will happen if you're a male VTuber. Okay, focus on the content. Don't blame your gender. Don't blame your model. I mean, don't get me wrong. Sure, your model will influence people's opinion of you. But the point is, right, is that don't fall into the trap of thinking that no one watches you, or that you're that no one turns up to your streams and watches your videos because you're a male VTuber, or because that people only want to fawn over cute girls, and that women have it really easy, and that all they have to do is the simp, it's like the simp baiting, horny baiting stuff. That's not true at all. Men and women, male and female VTubers, have strengths and weaknesses in their own ways. And if you make something that's worth watching, people will come despite your gender. And I think that what you have to remember is that I think that male VTubers tend to do stronger either on their own, or they do stronger in a group of other like-minded fellas. Male VTubers tend to be stronger when they're being bros and when they're being like manly, basically. Because yeah, it's like most of us guys, when we're watching a male content creator, VTuber or otherwise, we tend to concentrate more on guys who are either really good at the games that we like, or maybe guys who share our political opinions, or have like many of the same hobbies and interests as we do, gal. So when you're a male VTuber and you want to attract a male audience, I think the relatability factor is like the strongest element that you can use to attract a fan base, gal. Whereas with women, I think that men have a more difficult time getting started compared to women. I think women have it easier to get that leg up, or maybe on like their first 20 or 30 viewers. However, I think there does reach a point where, kind of like in the midsection and the upper section, where men start to scale much better than women do. And because male VTubers don't have to focus more reliably on the quality of their content, they can exploit the cute girl factor to be entertaining or interesting to their audience. It's like building your muscles up, right? Because people only watch you clearly for your content, not because they want to have sex with you, not because they have a crush on you, not because they're infatuated with you. If you're a male VTuber, people are probably watching you purely off of the value of your content. And there's good things and bad things that come with that. The bad thing is that maybe you might not ever have the biggest funny numbers or the same funny numbers as an equally skilled female VTuber has. But then at the same time, you never have to worry about treading on eggshells. You never have to worry about not male on streaming. You never have to worry about being open about being in a relationship. So I know that some male VTubers look at some of the things that female VTubers can do to get ahead without it being necessarily much work. And sure, but men do benefit from some other things as well, right, gal? So the things that men benefit from, gal, is that we understand the male psyche better than women do, nya. So because we understand the male psyche better, we should, in theory, know how to entertain men better than women do, gal. So you need to remember that as well. And in some respects, I do actually pity female VTubers to some extent, particularly the ones who do just want to grill and be treated seriously as entertainers and idols or whatever, gal. Because, it's like they just want to do their thing. Well, it's like I said, they just want to do their thing and be respected for it. And they've got this big chunk of their fan base who just wants to, fawn over them and coddle them and dream about being a relationship in them. And then this chunk of their fan base would abandon them the moment that it's found out that they have a girlfriend, boyfriend, or whatever, gal. And I think that's very sad. I'd rather be the kind of streamer personally where I have 40 reliable people watching who are here purely through the merits of my content and any entertainment and joy I bring them, over over that sexiness, basically. Yeah. Hey, crunk clap buddy, gal. Does that make sense? Thank you very much for the membership, Cronklad buddy. Thank you very much, my friend. Proper Ripper Legend, mate. Did I study? Did you send me another membership? If I forgot about the other membership, I study. Thank you very much, my friend. So, after all that waffling, no, I'm leaving you if you get a girlfriend. Oh, no, gal. No. God, actually, you know, funny enough, has there ever been a case of a male VTuber who have suffered the wrath of his fan base for having a girlfriend or something, girl? I imagine you'd have to be like a Niji Sanji male VTuber, I think, to get that kind of visceral reaction. I think you'd have to be like a Vox Akuma kind of person, really, would be the kind of person to get that kind of visceral reaction. So I guess if I'm trying to break down kind of the point I wanted to make here about the male VTubing experience, the things you need to remember is that, unfortunately, a lot of collaborations are off limits to you, sadly, purely because you have a penis. And try not to take it too personally. Try not to take it to heart, gal. It's not you most of the time. It's because, unfortunately, there are an awful lot of people in this fandom who will stop financially supporting their Oshi or favorite VTubers, whatever, the moment they detect like a threat to their borderline grooming, right? So don't take it personally. These women, you know, they have bills to pay and they have ambitions, and you will end their career if they hang out with you, unfortunately. And yes, sadly, these women who reject you would happily change their mind and come crawling to you if you did become very, very successful on your own merits, right? Like if you were someone, gal, who managed to make it to 5 million subscribers and got like 10,000 views a stream, gal, these unicorn female VTubers would not, they would abandon all their principles and come hang out with you to further their own career, gal. And you know, if that ever happens to you, well, it's up to you then, right, to decide whether you pity and understand their situation, or if you're going to remember that and refuse to associate with them. And that's kind of the way I see things as well, right, gal? Instead of being bitter about it, I go, look, I understand your situation. I fully get it. I appreciate it. But if I do become much bigger than you and you want to hang out all of a sudden, no, fuck off, right? So try to cope with it that way as well, as I would say. And kind of building on from that as well, as I would say that if you do face abuse and if you do get upset by all the people memeing and talking shit about male VTubers or male content creators, one of the best things you could do is prove them wrong, right, gal? Prove those cunt bastards wrong, right? I'm quite a rebellious person, and I can be quite an aggressive person despite how I appear on stream now. So when someone tells me that I can't do something or that I'm shit or inferior to them, instead of feeling, you know, despondent or emo about it, it makes me mad, and I want to prove them wrong. I want to fucking humiliate them and destroy them, right? I don't mean, and when I say destroy them, I don't like this. Here's the thing to remember: channel your hatred into friendly, it doesn't have to be friendly, but channel it into constructive competition. All right, don't do a Cinder, don't do a Mean Girls thing like the Cinder document. Don't try to break down others. Okay, just compete fairly and cleanly. Just overcome others through the sheer quality of your content, right? But yeah, if people are talking shit about you, they're bullying you, yeah, prove them wrong. Prove those cunts wrong, shut them up, laugh at them in return. They say you can't do it. Hey, well, I did do it at the end of the day. And yeah, use that hatred, use that motivation to give you that kick up the arse that you need, gal, to make some decent content, to keep at it and improve. And then maybe one day you'll get there, right? Because remember, gal, male or female, there are loads of VTubers out there, gal, who have been grinding away, doing their best for years and have very disappointing or very low funny numbers, gal. And sometimes, for some content creators, they become famous almost overnight. And what you need to remember is that these cases are very fringe and these cases are very lucky, gal. Most people need many years before they break that free view status or become famous, gal. Take a look at my cameo sheet. Kanako Lumi, for example. I think that Kanako Lumi is a fantastic example of a tremendously talented and hardworking person who had to spend years before she got truly recognized for how good she is, right? So yes, by the way, Maulington is Lumi posting yet again, all right? Leave me alone. I like Lumi posting. But my point is that for like the first 2 or so years of her career, Lumi was like getting in the low, it was like in the low 30s, kind of like 50s viewer. And then a bunch of flashpoints happened in her life that then rapidly escalated her fame and her funny numbers. Now imagine, and it took Lumi, I'd say, about a good 3 years really before people fully appreciated what she was capable of and recognized her brilliance, right? So what you have to remember is, imagine if Lumi quit after that first year. Imagine if Lumi quit VTubing after Cyberlife back when she wasn't very popular at all and didn't get very many viewers to her streams. She'd probably be, and then she could see like what would she quit after that first year, right? And then the spirit, or the ghost of Christmas comes and shows her what could have been if she just kept at it for another 2 years. That could always be you, right? If you give up, if you don't continuously learn from your experiences and build on it, then you're never gonna improve and get bigger. So if you're serious about content creation, it's you have to be consistent, but don't produce consistent slop. Okay, don't blame your gender, don't blame your model. It's your content, and it's about marketing as well on top of that. It's not just about how good your content is. You need to do something to really grab people's attention. So another thing I would say as well is, don't feel afraid to sometimes shamelessly use clickbait or use dramatic videos or headlines to get a bit of attention. I would say that drama tubing is a poison chalice that you probably shouldn't do, really. Doing commentary streams where you're properly deconstructing and analysing things, like what Armchair Expert does, is very good. But like mean girl drama tubing is a very poison chalice. They tend to get big numbers very quickly, but they themselves always end up usually being the subject of drama, and they usually end up imploding. That's why people like Jim Metica are so well respected, is that Jim is like one of the very, very few kind of drama focused content creators who've been doing it for a very long time and have managed to avoid becoming the lol cow himself. So yeah, always keep at it, guys. Don't look at that narrow viewpoint of content only in the context of VTubing weigh you down. Don't let the comments and the memes and the smugness from the unicorns and egotistical, stupid, toxic, bitchy women VTubers get you down. You can do it. You can probably do it. I won't say you can do it. You can probably do it. Unfortunately, not everybody can make it as a streamer, okay? Unfortunately, not everyone can do it. There has to be some losers. But remember, I appreciate you may want to be famous. I appreciate you may really want maybe to be so popular you can hang out with your favorite VTubers at VShowjo and whatnot, gal. But you'd have to be in like the top 0.01% for that to happen. So statistically, to get that popular, very unlikely. But still, as long as you've got one person regularly tuning into and watching your streams, I know it may be disappointing. I know you may be upset that you're putting all this work into your content and that you're not reaching the levels of success you hoped. But always try to look on the bright side, right? That there is at least one person out there, with all the millions of different things we can do on our computers, of all the billions and billions of different things we could do instead, someone out there likes you enough that they're going to sit there and watch you for 3-4 hours doing your thing or whatever. So don't. It's normal to always want more and to see those funny numbers keep rising, but don't forget to appreciate the people who do bother to turn up on a regular basis and do like you, as disappointing as those numbers may be. People like you in the chat, for example. I'm very grateful for all the support and all the love that you've given me over the years, even if it's just a quick drop in to say, hi Maulington, bye Maulington. I appreciate you all very much, right? So look at things in terms of that way. The other thing I would say as well, I guess actually I covered that. But yeah, so don't look at content creation so narrowly in terms of, don't look at it in terms of you should be making VTuber-esque content. Do whatever the fuck you're passionate about and think people might find interesting. Normally, you can't go wrong with making content that you're passionate about, because if you make content you're passionate about, there are probably people out there who are going to be as passionate about your favorite topic as you are. Yeah, right? And if you like making something, if you make a video, you make a stream or you do a YouTube video and you really like it, yeah, again, the same principle applies. If you really like it, there's probably going to be other people out there who also really like it as well, gal. Look at Hideo Kojima, for example. Hideo Kojima put fucking Pekora in one of his games, right, yeah? Now, there's no reason for Pekora to be in Death Stranding 2, yeah? But he put it in there anyway because he just likes Pekora and VTubers, yeah? And even though it's fucking weird and pointless, people like the fact that he put Pekora in his Death Stranding game. People love it, right? So think of things in that way. Don't let the people get you down. Don't have a narrow mind on VTubing. Appreciate the fact that female VTubers many of them will rely on this as their income, and you are in the way of that income and their success. Don't take that down too personally. And don't be ashamed of being a man. Respect people's boundaries though, and be polite and professional to everyone you meet, especially women. So speak to women like normal human beings, but do remember at the same time, women tend to be much more sensitive than men are and tend to get more offended more easily. So don't coddle women, don't infantilize them, but at the same time, speak to them like a human being and not a potential love interest. Because the thing is about women, okay, is that they can detect, if not consciously, they can subconsciously detect your intentions. So as long as you do approach women from a purely polite, respectful business proposition, you explain to them why you like them, you explain to them what benefit both of you would gain from a collaboration. Those few female VTubers out there who don't have a problem with male on streaming will probably say yes. You'd be surprised, honestly, guys. Despite how small you are, you'd be surprised by how a bit of politeness and professionalism can get you. I've reached out to many big content creators, female content creators. As you can probably tell from the lack of interviews, most of them have said no, but the point is that before saying no, they explained to me that they would have loved to, but they can't, but they won't, and they can't, unfortunately, because it makes their viewer base uncomfortable. But thank you for your time. So, yeah. Right, you never know when you're going to get a yes. You might be surprised with a yes, right? I was temporarily surprised with my yes from Shikimi Ishino. So, yeah, you never know. Well, just ask, right? The worst they'll say is no. They'll probably ghost you, most likely. But, yeah, you never know what can happen. So anyway, let's move on from that, and now let's talk about FaZeCon 2026. I love this song. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Okay, FaZeCon 2026, guys. So, what are we thinking? Where do we think that FaZeCon? Actually, hang on a minute. My stream's frozen. I can't see chat. 1 second, guys. I haven't been able to see chat for like 10 minutes now. I just noticed, but the timestamp stops. Or I don't know, maybe I haven't been talking for 10 minutes. 1 sec. Let me get chat back open. You have been talking. Okay, sorry, I've been missing your chats and shit because, yeah, chat froze. Let me read chat for a second before we don't be gay, Maulington. I'm not. What the fuck do I do that makes you think I'm gay? I'm a big, strong, burly man. Listen to my sexy, masculine baritone voice and my appreciation of the female form. What about me makes you? God, I'm going full British there. What? Bottle of water. A water bottle. Apparently, no, it's not going to be in... Oh, wait, probably California. I misread that as Canada, gal. It's, so Himemiya Lika, gal, has confirmed that it's definitely going to be in the United States of America. It's definitely going to be in the USA. It's not going to be in Canada. Because I did think at first, I was thinking that he was going to put it in Vancouver. Because that's their headquarters, right? But apparently not, gal. It is going to be in the United States of America. Actually, let me move myself out of the way as well, so you can read the bullet points. There we go. Put you over there. Put the General Lee Maulington over there. Well, I do declare this fine Virginia morn, we're going to go fight the Yankees over yon hill. But I'm hoping for Dixieland, basically. I'm hoping FaZeCon is away from the... Hang on. In the United States, the Democrats are blue, aren't they? Yeah, I'm hoping they keep FaceCon away from the major blue states, the major blue cities. I know that by their nature, most cities are blue because urban dwellers are disgusting. I fucking hate townies. Townie hate! But if I understand right, anyway, Gal, apparently all the Californians and the people and the shitlibs from Washington State are all moving to Texas and Florida. Anyway, Gal. So I believe that the major Texas hubs like Austin and Dallas have basically become are becoming California 2.0 anyway. So I don't think there's anything we can really do to get away from those kinds of shenanigans, really, Gal. But as long as the Face Connect van can turn up to an off-kai without getting all its shit robbed, Gal, that's one step in the right direction, I guess, yeah? Thank you very much for the $2. Oh, it's Mr. Snowman himself. I did think I see Mr. Snowman in this stream from time to time, and I saw he donated to Pipper in that clip. There he is, it's Mr. Snowman. How's it going, Mr. Snowman, buddy gal? Anywhere but California, true and real, true and real. Guys, what's worse, Washington State or California? Like, why is Washington State? Why is it the West Coast? That's the way it is, gal. Is it because they're too close to those Canadians? Is that the reason why? Is it those kooky Canadians that are fucking poisoning the mind of proud American patriots, gal? Actually, hang on. I think have I missed some more donations? I had to reset the thing. No, I didn't. Good. Okay. Good. Thank you, guys. Please stop donating, please, guys. I don't want to put the majoress on. Boo the Urban Knights. Hey, Umbrella. Boo the Urban Knights. Hell yeah. Hey, Hot Down. Yeah. And what was I getting anyway? But yeah, I would like Texas, Florida. Does North Carolina have any good venues for this kind of thing? Trust me, as a Canadian, I don't support those idiots. Yeah, Canada's an interesting country. I lived in Canada for a little while. Very interesting people, Canadians. Very interesting. Cali, Washington is smaller. California, because of California. Okay, yeah, it's the California. It's like the great herpes of the United States. It spreads its sickness everywhere, gal. Oh, you know what? What about FaceCon at Gator Alcatraz? Wouldn't that be funny? All right, guys. If you want to turn up to FaceCon, you have to wash and put deodorant on. If you don't, we're going to throw you to the alligators. Alligator Alcatraz. Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you very much for the 5 Swiss francs again, Vega Buddy Gal. The worst place it could be is Oakland. Biggest shithole I've ever been to. Yeah, damn, you get around, Vega. Where's Portland, guys? Which state is Portland in, Gal? Is Oregon a state or is that a city? Like, hang on, I don't know much about my American cities. Oregon's a state. Okay. Which is Oregon in the south or the north? That would have poisoned the poor gator, bless him, organ. It's East Coast. Oh, okay. I wonder if does North Carolina like have any good venues? Maybe. Oh, West. It's West Coast. Yeah, that makes sense then. Okay. Okay, that explains why it's massively shit-lib. Above California. Okay. Yep. Gotcha. Every time, it's always the West Coast people. It's where the Oregon Trail ended. Ah, okay, that makes sense. Yeah. Yeah, so maybe East Coast would be good, except New York City. Like, as I'm gonna say on Friday, guys, I do fucking love Americans so much. I love Americans more than British people and Europeans by far. But New Yorkers and Californians, on the other hand, I fucking hate those people. I actually hate New Yorkers more than I hate Californians, honestly. I've never in my life have I met a New Yorker who wasn't just the most disgusting, miserable dickhead. Apologies to any New Yorkers in the chat, but I've been to that city, and those New Yorkers are very proud of a city that's complete trash. I don't get it. I have no sympathy for them and their condition. But anyway, I'm getting into politics and not talking about Face Connect. That's Friday, Maulington. Shut up. So, yeah. Florida would be great, actually. Florida would be good because it's already a big tourist trap. So, and there's loads of big international airports in Florida. So it'd be good to, it'd be easy to get people there. There's a lot of transport at Florida International Airport. I'm very familiar with the public transport at Florida International, Gal, because there's always like a row of about 20 Mexican cab drivers outside of International Airport at all times, Gal. I fucking love Mexican cab drivers, by the way. Every time I get in a cab with like a Mexican driver, I feel like I'm in an episode of Breaking Bad because they're playing some kind of like 1990s Mexican music on the radio, but it's very quiet, right? It's kind of like background music, and usually the Mexican cab driver himself looks like he's working for the cartel, but I love it. They're great. They have interesting conversations. New York is where all the evil miasma started. California is just New York plus. Oh, I see. So California is like New York. It's like New York, but on New Game Plus mode. I see. Copium rises from their sewers, yeah. Lord Maulington, FaZeCon is the kind of opportunity to... yes. Okay, yeah. Thank you, Inferno. As usual, Inferno, you're getting me back on topic. Okay. So, one thing I wanted to mention, actually, about FaZeCon is that FaZeCon has the potential to be a huge strategic opportunity for FaZe Connect. And I'm hoping Sakana has the vision and the finances to try to build upon this, right? So... let me explain what I mean, and I don't think he'd realistically be able to accomplish it in the first year at the first con. So, if you guys didn't know, by the way, Low Effort Clips once released the financials, the pie chart financials of FaZe Connect from an investors meeting, and it was for the first quarter of 2024. Let me grab it up on stream for you, actually, because I bookmarked it. So, here's how FaZeCon can actually be a huge thing for FaZe Connect, both financially and from the perspective of the influence that they can leverage over the industry through it. So in the first instance, here we go. Here's the pie chart. I assume this is a real pie chart. I assume this isn't a meme. I think Zinker has confirmed that it's real. So according to this pie chart, at this time, I reckon it's even more now. 35%, the biggest chunk of FaZe Connect's ad revenue, comes from the coffee sales. Therefore, Gal, you could unironically make the point that FaZe Connect genuinely is a coffee company first. And then you've got the stream elements is the second biggest, sponsorship is the third biggest. By the way, this is actually really good news. By the way, this is big when you look at the financial breakdown of FaZe Connect. So sponsorships only make up 17% of the total pie chart. Now, the reason why I like to look at this is because that means, right, that given that 73% of FaZe Connect's revenue is independent of sponsorships, that means that if sponsors do try to force Sakana to tone down the content of his talents in exchange for their money, he can tell them to fuck off. He won't want to do it, right? Everybody wants sponsors because it's free money. But this is a nice healthy breakdown, really. Unless Sakana becomes a greedy, shifty, you know, unless Sakana goes full Uncle Chinese. Good. Keep the sponsorship a small part of the pie chart, so you're not vulnerable to the sponsors. Because look, ad revenue and stream elements and merchandise make up the majority of the pie chart. So what that means is that FaZe Connect gets most of its money, basically, from the fans, not the sponsors. So hang on, how much? What's that? What is that percentile? Yeah, it's 73% of FaZe Connect's 73% of FaZe Connect's revenue comes from the people who watch and like FaZe Connect, not any shifty sponsors, not those sneaky Jew fucks at BlackRock, right? So that's good. I like that. That means that Sakana has no reason to go public or start selling his shares. Good. Let's keep it that way. But anyway, Gal. Oh, sorry. Can't see it and then to the other parts. Oh, God. I've closed it now. Fuck. Sorry. Never mind. Right. But the point is that if Sakana makes a FaZeCon, he could load so much fucking coffee and really escalate the meme of FaZe Connect coffee at FaZeCon. And I imagine people would be happy to buy much more FaZe coffee if they didn't have to pay the extortionate, delivery costs from having it delivered, or people from having to suffer the tariffs and shit, right? So I know that FaZe Connect does and can sell coffee at Offkai, But if they have their own con, right, they have full control over how much space and how much merch they can bring to FaZeCon, and also the logistics of it are much easier for them as well. So that way they can potentially make a lot more money by pumping up those coffee sales. But also, rather than the financials, because equally FaZeCon does have the potential to be a complete financial disaster for FaZe Connect, because it's very expensive to hold a convention. You may not recoup your costs from ticket sales, right? You have to worry about that as well. And there's also the costs of hosting the venue. There's the, you know, the logistics, paying the staff, all that shit, right? There's an awful lot of costs that go into convention, so it could end up being a net negative financially speaking. I reckon that FaZeCon would be overall financially positive for FaZe Connect, and I think the way they're gonna host FaZeCon is it's not gonna be a showcase of just FaZe Connect. Thanks to FaZe Connect talents and Sakana being the bigger fish, being the more professional, being one of the more professional, polite, and diplomatic VTuber corporations and talents over the years, FaZe Connect has built a shitload of goodwill with all the big independent VTubers and all the big VTuber corporations, unlike Niji Sanji and like Idol, for example, like the owners of Idol. FaZe Connect itself, like the talents, the corporation, haven't actually done anything directly, deliberately themselves to piss off anyone or any corporation. They've always had, you know, since the good old days, FaZe Connect has always collaborated with the smaller VTuber corporation scale. Lots of collaborations with CyberLive. That's how Yuri and Lumi were poached in the first place, I imagine, because of the great big the big Lumi, Yuri, Pipper, Leah, CyberLive collab back in the day. And they did it with Prison Project. We've got the odd HoloLive collab from time to time, and we've got the odd VShojo collab from time to time, Gal, and people like Fillion and etc. So because FaZe Connect has built all these great working relationships with so many different VTuber corporations and hasn't upset anyone, everybody thinks very highly of FaZe Connect, except Offkai. Offkai's like the one organization that doesn't like them. So if FaZe Connect wants to hold its own convention, I imagine that even the likes of HoloLive and VShojo, the medium-sized VTuber corporations, the big indies, whoever, would love to be featured on FaZeCon. They think it'd be a great opportunity, and I think that FaZe Connect is now currently big enough and important enough of a VTuber corporation that people would see FaZeCon as prestigious and something that would be worth them attending, no matter how big they are. They would see. Remember, these conventions can also serve as a big networking opportunity as well. So let's say FaZe Connect does attract the interest of your VShojos and your HoloLive. That could lead to not only the talents, but Sakana himself to kind of cozy up and get some elite contacts, get himself some elite opportunities in the industry that he could then use to bolster, say, the music production or the idol production of FaZe Connect, right? He might be able to hit up Yagu, right? Maybe Yagu might be able to network with Yagu and be like, hey man, hook me up with those like dank Japanese, you know, vocalists and, you know, idol traders and shit, and give them to Masad girls, right? Might help Sakana with the production in that regard. But what FaZeCon might also do is allow FaZe Connect to basically step into that major player role, because what FaZe Connect can do is that now they have their own convention, and essentially having a platform, having a convention where you can show yourself off is really big to VTubers, right? Every VTuber wants to go to like the big cons and sell their merch there and attract the many tens of thousands of fans that go to the big cons. So what FaZe Connect can do with FaZeCon is kind of take a leading role and a more influential role in the industry. So there's good things and bad things that will come from this. The bad things is that because the V-tweeters, your Anna Valens types and Jinyaras and whatever, don't want to squander any opportunity that will lead to their big funny numbers, it will shut them up right? It will stop the whispers and it will stop the antis a little bit. At least the ones who are some form of content creator from talking mad shit about Pipper and FaZe Connect because they don't want to get blacklisted from FaZeCon from you know, talking mad shit about the you know, about the corporation basically. The other opportunity there as well with FaZe Connect's excellent kind of reputation it's built with other VTuber corporations is that if they do attract Hololive, VShojo, whoever, well, obviously they can help fund FaZeCon for FaZe Connect, so Sakana doesn't have to bear the entire financial burden himself. He can say, okay, Hololive, we'll give you this much space in the con, you know, and you'll pay us this amount of money. I don't think the FaZe Connect definitely won't make FaZeCon all about FaZe Connect because they are not that big enough yet. They're not that important enough that people will be interested in watching a convention just about FaZe Connect. And I think having a con really just about you yourself is a bit too fan wankery, really. Yeah. Hololive can get away with it maybe, yeah, because Hololive is so big. But in order to attract more people to the venue, in order to attract the biggest and widest audience possible, they do have to share the attention around with the usual big indies and the big corporations, right, Gal? But by having their own convention now, they're no longer slaves to Offkai. They no longer have to, well, not that they were ever slaves to Offkai. I think Offkai's always needed FaZe Connect. Well, not always. In the last 2 years, Offkai's needed FaZe Connect more than FaZe Connect's needed Offkai. But the point is now is that FaZe Connect now has a platform. I imagine FaZe Connect will be very fair and free with who's allowed to attend its convention. Here's the spicy thing, I bet. I bet FaZeCon I reckon FaZeCon would allow Kershaw to attend as a talent. I reckon they will. At the same time though, I imagine sorry. My throat's really sore and I'm really excited to get to my next point. The point I want to make now is I reckon FaZe Connect will let Kershaw attend as a talent potentially if she wanted to, but then that will lead to problems, right? I can imagine the drama now if Kershaw is allowed to be a member at FaZeCon. You know, you'll get the usual V-tweeters and the drama will explode over that, and it might attract a lot of negative attention to FaZe Connect. But I don't know, if I'm Sakana, honestly, I reckon the attention that would come from allowing Kershaw to attend FaZeCon as a talent, as a panelist, would probably be the best advertisement for FaZeCon possible. So if I was Fishman, I wouldn't be sat there. If I was Sakana, cynically, I wouldn't be sat there waiting for Kershaw to like apply or ask to be a panel member on the con. I would ask Kershaw to attend, and then she would, as soon as possible, I would proudly display FaZeCon starring Kershaw Verstal and just soak in all that juicy Fox money, right? All the Kershaw fans, all the attention, all the free publicity that the V-tweeters are going to bring you. Just soak it all in. I think that'd be great. Nah, Bam Brave, you know the shit show if they invite them and Brave flexes their 3D on Sakana's face. Also their face biggest rivals in Small Corpo. I don't honestly really know what FaZe Connect's relationship with Brave Group itself is. I know that FaZe Connect extended the olive branch to Idol, and Ariel from Idol basically spat in their face. So Sakana and Dizzy don't really like Idol that much, but obviously that management's gone now. But in terms of Brave Group being a rival for FaZe Connect, you know, we're going off topic a little bit, but I'm not really sure it is too much, really. And the reason why I say that is because Brave Group is so incredibly inept and they keep grossly mismanaging the VTuber corporations under their umbrella. I think Brave Group will just collapse in on itself eventually, and that soon the only Brave Group VTuber corporation still around will be VSPO and maybe Vformerai, maybe. But I think Vformerai is a bit of a risky shoot as well, because although Vformerai is actually doing pretty good for itself as a smaller VTuber corporation, really, and I love the Vformerai talents, don't get me wrong, the problem is that they're not making enough money for an investment firm the size of Brave Group. It's the same thing with Prison Project and Sony Music Entertainment. Prison Project as a corporation was doing okay as a small corporation, but they weren't doing well enough for Sony Music Entertainment for them to continue to want to invest in that project, so they scrapped it, right? And much of Brave Group's umbrella in the EN sphere at the moment is at the risk of being chopped. And I think no matter how many VTuber corporations Brave Group acquires, the same thing will keep happening over and over again, because it's a strategic vision problem. Yeah, exactly. Brave isn't a threat. I agree completely. Only threat is them wanting to throw money to buy the brand. Yeah, and I don't imagine Sakana would sell FaZe Connect to Brave Group. I mean, maybe at one point Sakana might sell FaZe Connect when he's a bit older, maybe, and he just wants to sit on his beach with his Hosho Marine merch and, I don't know, Goon to Gacha games. But I reckon Sakana's got like another 10, 15 years of CEO in him before he thinks about selling. And I think corporate VTubing or FaZe Connect probably, maybe FaZe Connect might live another 5 years. I'm not sure if FaZe Connect and corporate VTubing will live 10 years, I reckon. And that's nothing to do with their quality. Rather, it's that, it's a thing of no king lives forever. I can't imagine that Temma and Pipper would like streaming for another 10 years. I don't know. They don't strike me as the kind of people who'd want to do that all their life. I reckon the both of them would want to move on and do something else at some point. We'll see, Hopefully I'm wrong. Wouldn't it be great though to see like FaZe Connect still around in 40 years and we're watching like Temma and Pippa's grandchildren like streaming as brand new fresh-faced 20-year-olds, like generation 40 FaZe Connect Origins plus and it's Pippa's grandchild streaming. That would be great. What a lovely story that would be, right? Pippa would probably. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I think Pippa, I don't know. I might be misreading it, but I've seen in, again, kind of like clips sometimes. But it seems to me like sometimes Pippa teases the idea that maybe in 4 years, 5 years time, maybe she would want to maybe do something else. I don't know. I know she really loves VTubing, right? It's obvious. If you've watched more than 2 Pippa streams, you know that Pippa's really passionate about this stuff and that she genuinely loves it. But because of her self-development arc, though, I do wonder if that maybe in 6 or 7 years' time, maybe she'd think, actually, instead of being a VTuber, instead of being a talent, maybe she'd like to get on and do something more, I don't know, more managerial, more production-based, more leadership-based, maybe. I know that she's still quite shy, right? Pippa's still very shy and she still gets the big social anxiety and brainworms. But I do think that she does have it in her to be like a very senior manager in a company and maybe potentially run her own company one day. I know that there were no real human beings involved in Flavor and that Flavor wasn't a real VTuber corporation. But when she made Flavor, I think she really showed that she at least has the strategic vision and she has the chops to certainly design a VTuber corporation. She just need people to run it for her, basically. She'd need people to maybe do the management and do the business side and like the communication side for her. But I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised maybe if in 10 years Pippa might fancy having a go at running her own little VTuber group, maybe. I don't know. Actually, I saw a Himori comment a little while ago. Good, she should have solidarity. Yeah. She should have solidarity. Because in FaZe fan base, everyone always, when Gen 2 3D, when Invaders 3D. And if Brave goes and shows all their gens and their branches having 3D, it's going to make FaZe look bad. That's true. Actually, I think, respectfully, I think you're looking at the wrong... You're looking under the table instead of over the table there, I think, actually, Inferno. What I mean by that is that if Brave Group continues flaunting how much money it has and getting 3D models for its VTubers and doing these big elaborate concerts, quick, smart, it's not the FaZe Connect fans who are really going to be upset by that. I would still argue the point that most FaZe Connect fans, most of them to this day, still just want to see the FaZe Connect girls streaming, really. The concerts and the music are a bonus. They do like that stuff. They love it when it happens. They get the glow sticks out and they start crying when they see the concerts and they get how proud their Oshi, they get proud at how far that Oshi's come, yeah. But really, the FaZe Connect fans really do just want to watch the FaZe Connect girls stream. If Pipper went from, let's say, if Lumi stopped streaming 7 days a week, yeah, and then she moved to like 3 days a week, yeah, and the other 4 days she spent like training for 2-3 3D concerts a year, people would prefer it if she just streamed 7 days a week instead, right? That's kind of how it goes. But what will happen is that the fan base, I don't think, of FaZe Connect will get too upset by it, yeah. But the FaZe Connect talents themselves will get upset and would start to lose confidence in Sakana and FaZe Connect itself, yeah. So pretty much all the talents have come out and outright said, even in recent times, that they do now explicitly trust Sakana, and they do think that he's got a much better idea of what he's doing now. And if he doesn't, if he is being an idiot, then they have enough confidence in themselves now. They know when to ignore Sakana and when to follow Sakana's lead, right? That's kind of where they are now. But most of the FaZe Connect talents did become VTubers because they wanted to be stage performing idols. They did want their they do want their elaborate 3D models and their big stage performances where they can shine front and stage in front of tens of thousands of people. And some of them have got a little taste of that, maybe they've had a 2D concert at Offkai, or maybe they've had like a small segment of 3D concerting at a convention in front of a couple hundred people. But some of these FaZe talents, you know, it's not just a dream, it's not a nice to have. They hunger for this now, right? They've been patient. Generation 2 have been in FaZe Connect now for 3 years. They've been patiently waiting for 3 years now, right? They're getting hungry for it. They've got many of them have got big funny numbers now. They're getting big views. They've got a lot of subscribers. They understand that due to the size of FaZe Connect and its limited resources and its like market influence, they'd have to be patient and wait for their chance to shine. It's been 3 years now. They want their time in the limelight now, because particularly as FaZe Origins, particularly as FaZe Origins and Lumi, the English sides, have had multiple big 3D concerts now. They're thinking, right, when's our turn, Sakana? Now it's our turn soon, right? We're next. We've been waiting the longest now. When are we going to get a go? So that's something that Sakana has to worry about, right? Really, rather than Brave Group show it like upsetting the fan base. Sakana needs to be worried about being too slow with giving his talents what they joined FaZe Connect for in the first place, and them getting all miserable and maybe fucking off somewhere else. I think, even so, despite them really wanting this 3D concert stuff, I do think that any FaZe Connect talent who leaves for another VTuber corporation would be or going indie is making a massive mistake. Like they're ruining the opportunity of a lifetime. Even if they got invited to join HoloLive, I still think that a FaZe Connect talent, someone who's made it into FaZe Connect, should stick with FaZe Connect. It's not worth the risk of HoloLive, in my opinion, and especially not worth the risk of going to Brave Group. I think sometimes people don't give these women enough credit, really, and it's not helped by how so many aspiring, young VTuber women are so desperate for like the glamour and the perceived professionalism and the resources of a VTuber corporation. They think that all female VTubers are desperate to join a VTuber corporation, regardless of the potential consequences of what that decision may entail. But that only really applies to people outside the corporate sphere. I think FaZe Connect talents themselves, right? They've said that if Sakana goes public with FaZe Connect, they're going to quit, right? They won't want to stick around in that regard. So I do think many of the FaZe talents are kind of looking at HoloLive going public, looking at what Brave Group is doing wrong and seeing the disasters in Globy. Don't forget as well, many of these girls are friends or they network with each other. So in VTubing, there are many different secret Discord groups. They've got each other in DMs and they've got their secret WhatsApp groups where they're spilling like they're leaking everything to each other behind the scenes, right? That's how people like False ID and Rev says Dezu gets their news, is that, VTubers these corporate VTubers are like fucking leaking all the juicy shit, like whistleblowers to the drama tubers and they'll probably be doing it to their friends as well in the other corporations. So the FaZe Connect talents are getting all their friends that they've made in the industry, telling them about how badly Brave Group is treating them. They're probably looking at HoloLive going public and thinking, oh fuck, as big as Hololive is, and if I joined, I'd probably immediately do maybe like 2 to 3 times better potentially, depending on which phase VTuber it is, than I am now. What about the future? What about in 1 year or 2 years time, right? Or are they thinking, I actually quite like the balance of Phase Connect. I can be free, and it's a very free-spirited organization. I get to do idle stuff, but I'm not pressured into doing it and working myself to death, like the poor Hololive YouTubers do. I like the balance. I like the work-life balance that Phase Connect offers. So there's all these things to kind of for a corporate VTuber to think about. Yeah. Women can't keep their mouths shut, exactly as a horror channel. Guys, never tell a woman anything in confidence. Never even tell your wife anything in confidence. Because the thing is about women is that you tell them something, you say, hey, sweetheart, you know, keep this a secret, right? This is just between me and you, yeah, right? You say that to her, and then she goes, yeah, no worries, I won't tell anyone, it's just between us, yeah. And then the first thing she does is that she goes to a spa with her little girlfriends first thing in the morning, and she goes, oh my god, you won't believe what my husband told me last night, blah 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 blah, but okay girlies, just keep it a secret between us girlies, okay? And then what happens is that fucking Veronica in that girl group is like, okay hun, I'll keep it a secret, and then Veronica goes to the local fucking, I don't know, gay bar, and she's like, blah 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 blah's husband, blah 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 blah. That's women. That's women in a nutshell, including the nya part. Yeah. To be honest, that would be shit conversation to be in. Yeah, girl is talking about abuse, and you can only say Fishman denied your merch idea. Yeah. It's like I said shortly after Generation 3 of Phase Connect came out, by the way, is that I think people are starting to recognize. I think that Phase Connect is the #2 VTuber corporation at the moment, on the basis that I don't consider VShojo to be a VTuber corporation, yeah. But I think people are starting to recognize, particularly with all the Hololive VTubers graduating now as well, is they're going, right, if I want to join a VTuber corporation, they're weighing the pros and cons of it, and they're going, look, everyone wants to join Hololive because Hololive is a ticket to instant stardom. But then at the same time, they're thinking, oh man, it's actually quite nerve-wracking and it's quite uninspiring. You know, it's quite confidence is being lost in Hololive when all these big VTubers are graduating, and there's like rats that they're graduating because the shift is going more towards being a big idol company rather than being streamers, and that they're, you know, working ridiculous hours and putting all this hard physical work in. Because remember, being a stage performing idol is tremendous physical work as well. These ladies, I know we meme about their disgusting dietary habits, but they have to be pretty fit actually to be able to give these 1-2 hour concerts where they're singing and dancing around and running around the stage and doing these skits bit. Like even Pipper is probably relatively fit now to be able to do all those shenanigans on stream. So I think people now are starting to see the value of Phase Connect in terms of the, like, right, Phase Connect isn't as big as the others, but I could still hit potentially over 1,000 CCV. I've still got a reliable chance of having my merch and business done for me, and I get to enjoy this wonderful free-spirited work-life balance where I can choose to be a streamer first, really. I will get an opportunity to do that idle stuff. And I still, as a Phase Connect VTuber, the Phase Connect VTubers still do need to worry about mail on streaming, because as smug and arrogant as we Phase Connect fans may like to be sometimes, we all know, right? We all know from past historical events, it has happened before, but it's been contained to individual fandoms, right? Like Vietnam and what have you. The Phase Connect fandom is full of unicorns, and I would say that the proportion of unicorns to non-unicorns in Phase Connect is more skewed. It's more skewed heavily in favor of unicorns, but the proportion of unicorns to non-unicorns is smaller, I think, in Phase Connect. I think that there's a larger chunk of Phase Connect fans who wouldn't be upset or griefed in any way by their Oshi or whatever having a girl, but way too many that it would ruin Phase Connect if it happened. So they don't have complete freedom. They still need to walk on the eggshells of being in a relationship and having suspicious DMs or background noise featuring a male voice. But they can say slurs, right? They can say slurs They can have outtakes and not be cancelled for them. They can say many silly stuff, and they can count on a management that will support them and won't throw them under the bus or stab them in the back if they do, you know, piss off the fans in a minor way, right? That's one of the good things about Sakuna and FaZe as a whole, is that much of the discipline in FaZe Connect takes place behind the scenes, right? And we don't really know it happens. Unless, well, the girls have told us, right? But if they didn't tell us, we wouldn't really know what happens or what goes on behind the scenes. And that reeks a good management, right? That right there really sets FaZe Connect apart from many of the other small to medium-sized VTuber corporations, where as soon as one of their VTubers accidentally really pisses off a good chunk of the fan base, instead of like supporting their talent or not even coming out in defense of their talent, they just like shut the fuck up and let the drama blow over, right? And just trust their talent to be able to weather it. Instead, what they do is they kind of... Oh, there's a word for it. What's the word for it? They kind of publicly... You know, it's like Game of Thrones, right? They do they publicly tar and feather their talent, right? To try and appease the mob. You know, they kind of like shave all their hair off and brand the poor VTuber. And I think a lot of, you know, potential VTubers and currently existing VTubers have watched Niji Sanji and many of the small to medium-sized VTuber corporations betraying and selling out their own VTubers over complete nothing burgers. And they're going, hey, so this FaZe Connect corporation as well, this FaZe Connect corporation really does stand by and protect its talents and sticks with them. So, again, great work-life balance, very free-spirited, and a management that cares and actually knows what it's doing. So why would I take the risk with Brave Group and its predatory contracts, or Niji Sanji and its sheer retarded toxicity, right? It's kind of, hey Clanker, what up my Clanker? How's it going, buddy? Yeah. Yeah, oh, I love Neffy. I love Wemmy. Wemmy's so cute, but goddamn, she does terrify me with like her daily updates on how her life is going. Wemmy's fast becoming my Oshi. I want her to be healthy and happy, yeah. Yeah, that's definitely a sign of you becoming a Doremu, Tempest. The Doremu basically spend all day, every day, terrified for Wemmy's health and just wanting her to be happy. Yeah. FaZe has immunity to drama. I've seen multiple times stuff FaZe talent said. People shove it away like, haha, Menherigo funny. But another corporate, they have to apologise, or Maulington. Yes, you're absolutely right, Inferno, yeah. But the thing is, it's important to remember, FaZe Connect isn't exactly immune to drama. They're pretty much immune to the negative effects of drama. Pretty much every single drama that's hit FaZe Connect, minus Yuri's termination, has either been, at worst, it's been neutral. Like, nothing's happened other than a bit of gossip for a couple weeks. Usually, drama massively elevates FaZe Connect's funny numbers. Remember, basically, the foundation, in many respects, of FaZe Connect's rise to stardom comes from Pipper's Ethan Ralph stream, and then the next major flashpoint is Pipper and Temma on the Hogwarts Legacy grind and their Twitter wars with the V-tweeters. That's like two. Oh, and Flavor as well. When Pipper made Flavor, that brought a shitload of attention to FaZe Connect too. Ethan Ralph, Flavor, Hogwarts Legacy. But Temma deserves some of the credit for Hogwarts Legacy as well. So those three major flashpoints, three examples of massive drama. But FaZe Connect and the talents navigated those situations in the correct manner, and they were able to convert that drama into massive boons instead of failure. I imagine, right, this is the thing, people might take a look at people who are able to ride these once-in-a-lifetime flashpoints into stardom, and they might feel like jealous or bitter maybe, that it's like, oh, this person's only popular because of like the chuds really loved it when they did this one thing. But what you need to remember, right, whether you're an independent VTuber who's been able to benefit from a huge surge, or whether you're a corporate VTuber who's been able to benefit from a huge surge, whether it's due to like a trend or a bit of drama going on, it does take massive balls to take some of these mega dramas by the horns and then ride it the correct way to your advantage, right? Because loads of VTubers could have done what Pipper and Temma did during the whole Hogwarts thing. And I know that, again, I do know that Temma didn't intend to cause any offense to anyone in Hogwarts Legacy. She just likes Harry Potter and was having fun. But my point is, right, is that Pippa and Tenma chose to do the Hogwarts Legacy streams, and then they chose to double down and fight back against the V-tweeters, despite the backlash and the rage and the potential ramifications that could have come from that. Whereas most VTubers at the same time were understandably, completely understandably, did what was probably the correct play at the time, which was to play safe, not play the wizard game, not talk about the wizard game, and show solidarity with the cause. And the benefits of that for them is that they didn't, they didn't have to potentially risk getting doxxed, getting death threats, and getting a lot of grief and drama, and having people constantly talk shit about them all the time. But then at the same time, they did miss that opportunity, like that Pippa had, to basically double her funny numbers in the course of 2 weeks. So this is the thing. Face Connect also, I guess this is a thing you could say that's also a benefit to Face Connect, is that Face Connect actually gives you the opportunity as a content creator. You have enough rope to hang yourself, and Fishman will yank. Fishman will let you down from that rope before you do hang yourself. And I know that some kapipis, particularly retarded kapipis usually, get really upset when Sakana cuts the rope before Pippa hangs herself, but I think it's ultimately been a good thing more than a bad thing that Sakana's stepped in and gone, no, Pippa, don't do this. I think he's been shown to been right more than he's been wrong. I think the only time Sakana's really been wrong is that first year of Phase Connect, where he was insistent on dictating how certain Phase Connect characters should behave, and them being not as yab as they were, right? Like, I remember Uruka saying that Sakana insisted that Uruka was like the say-so normal one, right? That's where the meme the say-so bear comes from. And then eventually Uruka was like, this is shit. I'm not doing well under your direction, Sakana. I'm changed my mind. Now I'm going to be pervy and weird and do my spit bottle shit. And then she became much successful after that, right? But I think that one of the hidden advantages of Phase Connect is that the company gives you enough rope to hang yourself, but they'll cut the rope for you before you hang yourself. But it gives you the opportunity to make your own success still. You don't have these stuffy suits, these out of touch talent managers getting in the way of you doing something that may have a massive benefit to your career, right? Like Hololive and VShojo and, I don't know, your idols and shit, their management probably wouldn't have let them really capitalize on the whole drama around Hogwarts Legacy, whereas FaZe would let you do that. So that's something to think about as well. Dude, I love it. I love Pippers. I love it. This is the thing. Pippa would be one of my favorite VTubers if she did more of that silly skit stuff. Stuff like Flavor, the Fluffles Away Tilda, the little Hogwarts Legacy, the little Hogwarts letter thing. That's my favorite moments of Pippa is when she's being a theatre kid. When she's going on when she's like completely lost the plot and she's going on a genuine impassioned rant about something she strongly believes in, or she's just being like a crazy shit poster. That's Pippa at my favorite for me. That's when I really like her. Yeah, vetoing the Rackets interview. Whoa, I mean, bullet dodged. What an understatement that was in light of what eventually happened to Ricata Law. But I mean, as well, it's not just about what Ricata's become, but remember, guys, remember what Kumalot and Ricata did the moment FaZe Connect spurned the two of them, right? The two of them didn't take rejection from FaZe Connect very well at all. They burnt those bridges by being incredibly hostile and derogatory and confrontational towards FaZe Connect. And years later, as far as I'm aware, I don't watch him, I don't care, but I've seen like clips of it, and I've seen clips of Kershaw talking about it. But according to Kershaw, Kumalot still talks about like Pippa and Kershaw to this day, and it's like, Kumalot, you know, it's like, buddy, I appreciate that maybe you had like a you know, we all go retard sometimes over a woman. I've seen many content creators go ruin their lives over Kershaw and Pippa. You know, Short Fat Otaku already had a shit reputation before Kershaw and Pippa, but he has allowed Kershaw and Pippa to destroy what little reputation he had, right? I meant the ability of Kershaw and Pipper to ruin men's lives is incredible. We must harness it and turn it into a super weapon of some kind, right? But one general piece of advice I'd offer to you guys in life in general is that if you're treated badly by someone, and if you're treated badly by someone, right, and they're actually quite important, they're somebody, or they have some kind of influence in some sector or whatever, as much as you hate that person, as righteous as you might be in disliking them, don't burn bridges over personal disputes, because you never know what might happen in 2 to 3 years time, right? Like I'm in the current role I'm in, right? The current job I have, I managed to achieve by a network that I built from someone who originally I couldn't stand and didn't have a good working relationship with. And kind of what happened is that after a couple years after we separated from each other and those hostilities died down, and I didn't kick their door down on the way out. They kind of reached out and they went, you know, I remember that you have these skills. I was wondering if you'd like to come work in this company that I'm at when they're looking for this person, right? So yeah, be careful about the bridges you burn, because in the future, you know, that might become water under the bridge and you might get a second chance. And unfortunately, by Ricator and Camelot being bitter punk bitches about FaZe Connect rejecting them, they completely destroyed that opportunity for all time. They will never be forgiven. They will never get that opportunity again. Short for Ataku ruined himself, yeah. He should definitely receive Canadian healthcare at its finest, in my opinion. Camelot talks about it sometimes. I remember watching some stream in which he was a guest and he said then that he was in the wrong but didn't apologize truly. Well, here's the thing, right? Camelot, I appreciate that, right? I mean, but Camelot doesn't need to apologize publicly. He could write an apology. He could. Maybe he has, right? Maybe he has apologized to Pipper and FaZe Connect and said, look, I'm really sorry about the things I did, and, you know, etc, etc. But then again, the thing is, right, that people don't have to accept your apology no matter how honest it is. There's still a reputation to consider, even if maybe FaZe Connect and Pipper forgive Camelot. Will the Kapipis forgive Camelot? Probably not. They'll be upset. They'll be very upset to see Pipper, I think, collab with Camelot, and they'll probably see it as him taking advantage of her and Pipper being too naive for her own good, right? So unfortunately, the fans also get a say on whether Camelot can be redeemed in the eyes of the FaZe Connect fandom. But as well, I think that the important thing as well is that if you do apologize to someone like an organization as well, it's important that after the apology, you don't immediately ask to, you know, so can we have that interview now, right? You know what I mean? You have to leave it alone for a bit, right? Be friendly, but still be distant, right? Don't jump straight in there with the look, I'm very, very sorry about all the things I did. So about that collab, because it makes you look disingenuous, right? Yeah, as a Kapipi, I will not forgive Camelot. Yeah, and I imagine that there are a great many thousands of Kapipalists who have way more extreme views than you, Tor. Probably a lot more. He did, and that's the thing, is that it's all well and good of Camelot feeling well and truly sorry, but he really did something. He did multiple things that aren't just disgustingly unacceptable in VTubing. He did things that are extremely disgusting, generally speaking, right? You know, I know he didn't dox anyone, but he essentially pretended that he essentially doxed someone, and he also was pretending essentially to be like Pippa's secret boyfriend, basically. And the two counts of that is that pretending to dox a VTuber, that alone is enough to get you hung, drawn and quartered in this space. But then as well, like pretending that Pip is his super secret like girlfriend who visits him in real life. Again, guys, I'm from a different era, so I beg your pardon for my slurs. But what Camelot did is some of the biggest faggotry I've ever seen in all my life. I can't believe being older than 14 and pretending that someone is like your girlfriend and then pretending to brag about it publicly on Twitter. That's gotta be the faggiest thing I've ever seen a grown man do, and I can't believe he did it. It's really fucking weird, right? It's very weird. But again, I know some people in this. I know some people in Face Connect and some people in this community. Some Kapipis do really like Kumalot. So I shouldn't call him Kumalot. I call him Camelot. Like, again, after all this shit Camelot did, I don't care about the guy at the end of the day. So I don't really I don't care about this much stuff, honestly, on the personal level. But out of respect to people maybe who actually like Camelot, because again, I've never watched his content, but from what I understand, people do really like his stuff. They like his stories about retail or something. Like, he used to work in retail, and he's like a relatable yapper who tells stories about like life and retail and stuff. So you know, whatever. Apparently he is to some people seen as a good content creator, but it's fucking stupid, gay, cringe behavior at the highest order, though, right? Like, fucking hell, man. What were you thinking when you were doing that? And I wouldn't be surprised if that's like unforgivable things to do. So, fuck him. Whatever. Nah, he's Kubalot. No mercy from Liam. Yeah, his content's good, but he's just cringe. Yeah, and I mean, aren't many of us, but no, I don't make any apologies for him, though. What he did was mega faggy, and hopefully he's genuinely learned from it, and he'll take those lessons going forward, and he won't make the same mistakes, right? This is something as well, I guess, again, tying into like male VTubing and being a content creator in general, or being in public, okay? Sometimes you will accidentally offend people, and you can't take that back. And I think you always have to take into consideration, I mean, sometimes that's okay, right? It's not okay, but it's okay. And sometimes it's okay to offend people in a mild way. Like, take this for example. So in the Face Connect documentary, I'm not gonna beat the joke to death, right? But I am gonna make a mild joke in the Face Connect documentary about Sakana and Dizzy fucking, right? It's basically gonna be a clip of Dizzy and Sakana, you know, joking around and being close with each other during an interview, and then I'm gonna cut to that pro-god ZD meme clip of him saying, "Oh, they fucking," right? That's basically gonna be the meme. And I appreciate, you know, that Dizzy gets sick of people making the Dizzy x Sakana jokes. And I appreciate if I make that meme and Dizzy sees it, it might offend her. It might actually piss her off, right, for her to see that, particularly in a documentary about Face Connect, because it might encourage more people to start making those jokes again. And I don't want to upset Dizzy, but at the same time, I think it's too funny of a meme to pass, so I am going to put it in. And it's fine if she hates me for doing it, but I'm gonna do it anyway, because it's too funny to not to. So if she hates me, whatever. Fuck off, I don't care, I'm doing it anyway, right? I think that's kind of like the attitude you need to have a little bit as well, right? Again, there's boundaries, there's limits, right? And that makes it difficult to have this conversation. You can't be specific about where these boundaries are because it's different for each people. So I'm going to regret saying this, Nya, okay? But I'm the kind of person where you can make the most vile, disgusting, like, you can basically sexually assault me. That's not the right word. No, don't clip that. Don't repeat that. No, that's not the word. You can make jokes about sexually assaulting me. No, you can't. I won't allow you to sexually assault me. You can make... Fuck, I did it. I've had my moment where I fucking slipped up and said the wrong thing. Fuck. Bugger. Fuck. Okay, I'm never going to lift this one down. No, you can't sexually assault me, but you can make jokes about sexually assaulting me to my face, and I will probably just find it funny, right? I'm the kind of person where you can really like roast the fuck out of me, and as long as you are joking, right? As long as I can tell, even if it's like a roast based in some truth, right? You are making like what could be perceived an offensive comment about my country, my race, my voice, whatever. You know, as long as it's done in the spirit of banter, you know, humor, then I won't have a problem with it, right? It's fine for me. But, you know, there are people who are sensitive. We all have different levels of sensitivity. And the thing is, I'll say to people as well, is that if you're never truly friends with someone unless you've actually genuinely pissed them off before, right? If you've never seriously upset someone before in your life, then it's unlikely that you're really truly friends with that person, because that means you haven't pushed those boundaries enough. And that's really the only way that you find someone's boundaries, is when you cross them or they tell you to stop doing it, basically. And some people get a bit shy, get a bit funny about telling you when you're nearing the boundary or that you're hitting the boundary. So yeah, it's something you always need to think about as well. Take into context what kind of person you're communicating with, right? Like women won't appreciate like sex jokes coming from a man to their face. But as a man, even though I'm not gay and I don't want to be sexually assaulted by a man, I think it's funny. So it's okay to do it with me, right? So probably lurk a lot with someone you want to interact and try to get a good feeling as to what their sense of humor is, what they find okay and what they don't. And then, yeah, don't. I see a lot of VTubers like have a complete crash out when they realize they've accidentally genuinely offended someone, another VTuber, particularly someone they quite like, and they think, oh god, this person hates me forever now. I've ruined it. This person hates my guts. They think I'm a dickhead. They'll never want to talk to me again. And it's like, no. As long as it's an accident and you don't do it again and you apologize, anybody who doesn't accept like an accidental boundary cross, like the one time, isn't someone you probably want to associate with anyway, right? I think people who won't accept an apology over an accidental boundary cross that you then learn from, people like that are miserable like cunts in my opinion and are not worth interacting with. So don't stress it as well, right? Like don't sometimes you don't want to meet your heroes as well. Maybe you do one day. You get in a network with one of your favorite creators and then you realize behind the scenes they're actually quite like a miserable, stuck up, self-righteous dickhead and you don't like them, and then you accidentally piss them off and you think, oh no, like this VTuber I really looked up and liked for years, I finally became their friends and they hate me. And it's like, yeah, well, they're not really worth your time anyway, right? They're a miserable fucker. You the two of you just don't get on, right? That's the thing sometimes with people. People don't even have to have done something wrong. Sometimes we just take a disliking to each other for one reason or another. That's how life is, and that's fine. That's fine. There are plenty of people in this space. Like take Himawari, for example. I fucking hate that cunt Himawari. That fucking tiny bitch Himawari. That German kraut fuck. You see, the problem is, what really pisses me off about Himawari, okay, is you've got this Himawari Kotetsu guy, and he's always so positive. He's always so full of energy. He's so lovely with his chat. He's always so funny and engaging. And he's always... He's got this wonderful way of speaking to his chat that's always a lot of fun, right? You always go into a Himawari stream, it's full of energy, and I just look at that, right? And I go, I fucking hate this tiny little rapist, this male VTuber fuck, okay? I bet he's crawling into women's DMs all the time and threatening them with all sorts of shit. I hate that dickhead. Right. But you see my point, right? Like we don't all have to get along. We can dislike each other for completely stupid reasons, and it's just how human beings are. So don't stress about it. Unfortunately, you might find someone who you quite like as a content creator. You don't gel whatsoever, right? You don't have the same sense of humor, and it can be collabing together can be like really obnoxious because you have no chemistry, right? So yeah, don't worry about that either. You know it, I'm a terrible person. Yeah, you fucking there. Look at that. How dare Himawari be such a nice, positive, friendly person in this space, right? That fucking male VTuber's up to something. He's a male VTuber. No male VTubers are good people. They're all secret rapists, right? They're all sex offenders. They just haven't been revealed as one yet. Himawari is in Lumi's special Discord server where he pays $20 for the Lumi nudes. Actually, on that subject, God, how many of you guys remember the fucking Lumi chord? How many of you guys are on Lumi's Discord? How many of you guys remember the Lumi chord civil war that happened when Puppy, the artist on Twitter, Puppy, started making a shitload of Lumi ludes, right? And there was that big this but Lumi trend. God. See, so for you guys who don't know what Lumi's fan base are like these days, unfortunately, back in the good old days, Lumi's fan base was basically like a mix of the Kampai Nikki, and then there was like a small cohort of groomers, and I think now Lumi's fan base is mostly chunked. The two biggest chunks of Lumi's fan base these days is like a 46, maybe 45% split between the gooners and the groomers. So what happened is that one Puppy, I don't know how you say his name, Puppy, started posting, all the Lumi feet art and all the sexy Lumi art and shit, right? What happened is that there was basically a civil war in the Lumi Chord, where half the Lumi Goomies thought Puppy was, you know, the second coming of Jesus for doing what he did. But then you had the groomers, who absolutely despised this vile defilement of the holy form of their OG Kaneko Lumi, who got really fucking angry. They were really upset that the Gooners and Puppy were posting all this lewd art of Lumi. Their pure, lovely maiden. How fucking dare he? It was the first time in a long time that I'd paid attention to the greater Goonie community, because it was a hell of a popcorn time moment. I was like, oh shit. And that's why I made that reference in the latest Phase Connect meme video. Hang on, let me just quickly get my video open. If you've seen it, you probably know what I'm referring to. I'm referring to this. Hang on, let me silence that. That's not what I want. Come on, YouTube. Okay, here we go. Who remembers? Who's seen this? Who remembers this? Who remembers this meme? And I imagine I tried to do a mix of memes that everybody would understand in Phase Connect, and I put like hidden community memes in there. So this is the meme I'm referring to. This is how I referred to the event. That was basically what happened. I've never got into fan discords because honestly fandoms are full of tards I can't stand or care to interact with because they take things seriously. Yeah, and that's basically the crux of why I like the Virtual Asylum as a horror channel, because you know, as retarded as the Virtual Asylum can be sometimes, generally speaking, there's like a rich, diverse cast of people in there who like different things and have like different opinions and stuff. So you do get like civil and nuanced commentary on that forum. That's genuinely interesting to read. And also it helps the fact that TVA is basically a FaZe Connect and Kersha fan site. So again, if you want to talk about FaZe and Kersha, it's a great site to go and read shit, right? But yeah, I think TVA is one of the best communities on the internet if you really want to like spurg out about VTubing. But as well, I just want to finish off on my last meme. Actually, everybody likes this meme. This is a classic meme. Oh wait, hang on, let me do that again. I need to fucking take my big dickhead head off of the screen. Capipolis in a nutshell, right there. Mexicans. Here I am. I'm over here. Zup. Except if you want to talk about Niji Sanji, good luck with that. Yeah, except Niji Sanji. But then, who wants to talk about Niji Sanji these days? There's nothing really... Well, I guess the Twisty stuff is juicy drama. I saw Twisty's video, and I contemplated, like, doing a reaction video to Twisty's, like, you know, big yab moment, because it did make me fucking laugh hysterically in a few moments. Like, I can't believe my Niji Sanji VTuber is this much of a chud. God, I was like, oh my god, Twisty, you can't say that. You're in the Niji sister community. Fucking hell. Yeah, I clapped when I saw it. It broke new ground. I didn't quite clap, but yeah, I was crying with laughter. I thought it was funny. But yeah, actually, that's a pretty good point to end the stream on. Actually, is there another funny meme? Oh yeah, actually, I want to show this. I want to show these two memes as well because I really like these ones. Actually, I like quite a lot of these memes that I did. This is my favorite one. Actually, this is my favorite meme. Hang on, I'm gonna go off again a second.
When you come to yard, chow, you take a shit, whatever. You stick to your own race.
I love that so much. I love the idea of like the Ringo Dachi being the Aryan Brotherhood. It just fits so well for some reason, I think. Oh yeah, there's the Arena one as well. I'm quite proud of the Arena meme. I wish I could just like make hour-long meme compilations. It's like what I'd like to do. And there's this one as well, which I quite like.
What's the matter? Cats cut your tongue?
Ooh, do it again.
What's the matter? Cats cut your tongue?
Ooh, do it again.
What's the matter? Cats cut your tongue? Erina Makina, I feel a connection Do you?
It's true though. It's absolutely true. Oh yeah, and the Ringo actually spot an Indian.
Fair enough.
I love like the white supremacist prison gang memes for the fucking Ringodachi. It's spot on as well. Like Panko isn't beating the allegations. But yeah, that's everything I wanted to talk about on today's stream. Thank you guys. I was hoping to only stream for 2 hours. I ended up going on for nearly 3 hours. Yeah. So yeah, that's unfortunate. You know what? I'm gonna have to. I'm afraid. I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to apologize. I'm gonna have to move Friday stream to Saturday now instead. I'm not gonna have enough time to finish it. I think. I don't know. I'll confirm tomorrow, but I'm gonna have to move the American stream till tomorrow. I'm afraid. But that might be a good thing. Because if I do it late on Saturday, then that'll be more Americans will be like awake, hopefully, to actually watch it. So it might be a good thing, maybe. Sorry, guys. Yeah, I'm really sorry about that. But I've been really struggling to. Oh yeah, do you want a little bit of news? By the way, a little bit of news. Yeah, a bit of a drama, well, not drama, a bit of some spoilers. Oshi Push, the VTuber card game people reached out to me on last Friday, and they asked me if I could write the lore summary for all the phase origins, because they want to do like when they release the game fully, right? Like when they start releasing the retail games, they wanted to kind of complement the VTuber specific cards. They wanted like a summary of the lore. When I say lore, I don't mean the VTuber lore. I mean the career history of each VTuber. So kind of what I've been doing for the last week, which has really fucked up my schedule and why I haven't had time to really do anything, is because I'm basically writing a 10-minute synopsis of each Phase Connect VTuber, well, all the Phase Origins lore, like what they were like when they started to how they are today, their highlights, why they went into VTubing, their highs and lows, and what their fans think of them and stuff, right? And it's been really fucking hard to do it for all 7 VTubers and keep it balanced, right? Actually, whilst I've got you here, actually, let's take a look at it a sec, actually. I'd really like to get your opinion on what I've written for Tenma, right? Actually, I'd like to see what you guys think of what I've written about Tenma. Hang on, give me 1 second. I just want to make sure I don't accidentally release any information of myself. Hang on. Let me get the Word doc up. I'll show you what I mean. Let me know what you guys think. Shut up, computer. Okay. Cool. Yeah, I'd be grateful if you could help me with if you think if you think this is like a good summary. We'll do Tenma's one. We'll do Tenma's. So basically, kind of like what I did for the Leah, what I kind of did for Leah in the Leah coffee review, is I'm trying to do that in a more coherent and holistic way for each of the 7 Phase Connect talents for Oshi Push. Oh, no, that's not it. Actually, hang on. Any of my personal information showing? Nope. Okay, cool. Let's get it open. Actually, I don't actually need to show you it. I'll just read it out to you. Hang on. I'll just read it out to you. Might actually help you if you could actually see what I'm writing. No, I'll read it out to you. I don't know. What do you think? Should I show you the text as well? Or should I just read it out to you? What do you think? What do you guys think? Wait, you got Oshi Push job? Yes, I'm an affiliate of Oshi Push, and they actually reached out to me to offer me the job because of my Phase Connect videos, and they used a lot of my Phase Connect videos as like their research for making the cards, like in terms of like lore and references. So if you do play Oshi Push, pretty much every Mishru reference in Oshi Push comes from my video on Mishru, because Mishru is obviously a Japanese speaker. They couldn't like watch his streams to pull information off themselves. Text 2, please. Okay. Okay, so here's what I said for can you still see if I'm here? Can you read that? Does that look okay? There's nothing sensitive here anyway, I believe. It's showing my name's Lord Maulington and shit. There's nothing here, I believe, that can identify me. I don't know, I'll find out I'll find out later. But yeah, can you read that okay? Can you see it? Actually, let me turn the tail off as well, because that's probably blocking the text. Yes, no, can you see the text? Can you read it okay? I'll read it out to you then. I see, blind man. I'll do 2 more. Okay. So for Tenma, I've written, Tenma likes alcohol, First thing over, I haven't, this, by the way, this isn't the final version. This is like the draft before I review it again and send it to them. Tenma likes alcohol, thirsting over big, strong, muscly men, and threatening a chat, in that order. She often mentions her dream is to create an army of naked, muscled men. She was originally poised. Oh, I put in poisoned. Yeah, there we go. I need to change that to poised. But Tenma has poisoned Sakana as well, I imagine. She was originally poised to join Face Connect Origins as one of the Japanese-focused talents, as she is from Osaka. At the last minute, she requested a change to the English language unit, despite being a beginner who first learned the language from American action movies, particularly Die Hard. In her early streams, she would often substitute English words with Japanese. Her English has improved remarkably in the following years. Again, another typo here. She was initially mistaken as a Canadian on a fandom. She was initially mistaken as Canadian because on her fandom wiki page. Oh wait, hang on, no. She was originally mistaken as Canadian on her fandom wiki page because her YouTube account was located in Canada, since Face Connect is a Canadian company. Tenma and her community adopted this mistake as a running gag. This is why her fans like to call her Canadian, or even Mrs. Worldwide. She prefers the nickname Michan. One night after heavy drinking, she told chat that she decided to become a VTuber, as she has an office day job with a boss she hated very much, and her co-workers. Therefore, she became a VTuber to relax by swearing at her chat, since she couldn't swear at her boss. It's her favourite thing to do. Tenma has a genuine, intense anger that can be equally funny as it is terrifying. During one stream, she flew into a rage and smashed her controller into tiny pieces. She will also take her anger out on chat if they're antagonising her. This relationship is known as throwing bricks at Tenma, or get bricked. It's a community joke that chat is tied up in the basement for their misbehaviour. Tenma loves to bully the CEO of Face Connect, Sakana. During a birthday stream, where another VTuber in the organisation was interviewing Sakana, he explained that Tenma would be the perfect idol, if only she didn't talk. Oh yeah, put wouldn't talk, didn't talk. Since she had excellent dance moves. Tenma's chat, the Kampai Nikki, informed her of this, mid-stream, so she decided to raid the interview and shout at Sakana for 4 minutes before promising him, "I forgive but never forget. Remember these words." She then abruptly left the call and returned to her stream. Is this a Tenma video script? I've already done a Tenma video. No, this is a summary of Tenma that I'm doing for the Oshi Push game. As they want to... a big part of Oshi Push's appeal is like the research and the connection that they want to facilitate between the VTuber and their fans. Or even if you're not a fan of that VTuber, they want each like deck and each card to essentially be a mini piece of lore for that VTuber in particular. So they've asked me, as the Face Connect historian, to help them with a lot of the lore, basically. Is this a second Tenma? Yeah, I go on for a bit, don't I? I could do a second Tenma video. I could do an updated Tenma video. It goes on for a bit. I do like my waffling. Despite her intensity, crass language, and love of banter with her colleagues in chat, Tenma has always played a big sisterly role to the other VTubers in Face Connect. Gemmate Pipkin Pipper was incredibly shy and nervous interacting with others during the first few months. You could always find Tenma in Pipper's chat while she was at work, encouraging Pipper to keep going and believe in herself. She would also encourage the others in celebrating Pipper's hard work and personal development. After one night of drinking, Tenma made a small finger promise, she meant pinky promise, with Pipper, hoping that Pipper would take better care of herself. Tenma is a hard worker who always goes out of her way to make her streams and special events visually creative, dynamic and sophisticated. She often includes little 2D outfits and assets relevant to the game she's playing, such as a monkey outfit or glasses, robe and a scar for Harry Potter. On her third anniversary stream, Tenma read out a teary love letter to her community, explaining how she thought that in the first 2 years everything would fall apart, but she finally felt confident things were gonna be okay and that her Kampai Nikki were extremely important to her. Like most VTubers, she had a dream of being a stage performing idol, having wonderful times with her senpais and gemmates. In the 2023 Anime NYC 3D concert, she finally got her wish and wrote to her community again, "From the bottom of my heart, thank you. I love you. How is it possible to make the perfect idol out of an alcoholic?" What do you think? Probably way too much for a summary, honestly. I reckon they tell me to cut out half of that. But what do you think? Do you think that's a nice, fun summary of Tenma for a complete stranger who would look at the Tenma persona card and think, what's this VTuber all about then? What are we thinking? Any good? Think it's bad? Make it bigger! Make it longer! Make it bigger, make it longer. No, I'm not using that one anymore. I'm using this one now, the OG background. The Colonel sound is drip. I am the Now, Mr. Waverwind, I am the General Lee, and I have returned from the grave to lead the male VTubers through the new Confederacy. You see... Okay, you know what? My voice is fucked and I'm tired now. It's been 3 hours. I can't even maintain this charade anymore. But how are you doing, Razorwind, buddy? How's your tooth? How's your health doing, buddy? I know you've not had a good time of it. The Male VTuber Confederacy. I am the General Lee of the Male VTuber Confederacy, and this is about male VTuber rights. You see, this isn't about sexual slavery to the female VTubers. This is about male VTuber rights and our right to freedom and liberty and independence. The female VTubers try to dictate to us how we should live and how we should behave. But gentlemen, I say that this is unacceptable, and that the constitution of VTubing quite clearly states that male VTubers have the right to do content as they so desire, and where am I going with this? And then I'm going to be doing like a full politics stream like this, by the way, on Friday. No script, no prep, no worries. Okay, I'm going to probably get really silly at one point and say shit I'm going to regret later, but I'm going to be doing this later on Saturday. So look forward to that, about real politics, about why I love America and how I think America should be run, and how I would run America if I were an American. Have you seen the AI video of the droids singing Confederacy songs? And it's like the droid army could like together with the Confederates. I take it you've seen that, right? Good. I'm glad to see you're getting a little bit better, Razorwind, but I hope your surgery goes okay, buddy. Yeah. Sounds great. Thank you, Bar. Okay, cool. Not many people replied giving me a yes or no answer, so that either means it was terrible and you just don't have the heart to tell me yeah, or it means that none of you are paying attention. And I wouldn't be surprised if it's both, honestly, because since I'm not a cute girl with big massive tits like that Yuri cosplayer, you probably stopped paying attention to me the second I stopped talking about Face Connect. But then I guess I was talking about Face Connect, so maybe you get a little bit of attention. But then I don't have many Kampai Nikki in my community. You're mostly capitalists and Hime Betos. So unless I talked about Pipper or Rie, he probably wouldn't give a shit, right? Okay. Yeah, good. Oh, thank you. But yes, very good summary. She also does marathon streams sometimes. She does, but I don't want to like include like fucking every minute detail. Otherwise we'll be there all day, right? Hard to make any shorter when you're summarizing your career so far. Okay, yeah, I thought so too. I wanted to. It's like, do I generalize it or get more specific? Oh, actually, you know, I did mention. Hang on, let me get it open again. Hang on. Oh yeah, I do have story moves as well. I've seen Wemmy's Oshi marks on Twitter, but there's not many. I've only seen about 3 of Wemmy's Oshi marks in my community in my life. So in the Uruka one, by the way, I did mention in the Uruka summary, I've mentioned Allure. I haven't mentioned the slur, but I've mentioned Allure. I've mentioned the Spitsicle. I've mentioned the Spit Bottle. And I've mentioned the stream Uruka did where she gave birth with the Uru Furby. I did mention that to them. So I hope they have an Uru Furby or Cubs card in the game in like a later set. So yeah, I am going to tell them about that. Yeah, it should be good fun. I'm looking forward to see what they do with the summaries I wrote. Ask if there's a max word count. They showed me an example of what they're looking for, right? And from what I could see, the Tenma breakdown is probably, I'd say, about a paragraph or 2 bigger than what they showed me. But I'll give them this, right? And then they can choose to edit out what they don't like, right? I'm a Oh, you're a God, I can't say that fucking word. Doromu Daisuke. Also killed a filthy cheater. I mean, we're all cheaters in some respects. I have a hot... I don't know if it's a hot take, yeah. But my take, right, in regards to Oshi, Kamiyoshi, and shit, right, is I say you have one Kamiyoshi, and your Kamiyoshi... Nah, you know what? No, I'd be willing to give a little and say, okay, you can have the Oshi marks of your Kamiyoshi and your Oshi's in. But I think, realistically speaking, you can only have one Kamiyoshi and no more than 3 Oshis. I think after that point, I mean, unless you're unemployed, I guess, or something, then I doubt you have enough reasonable time in your day to... Hey, Payplay, buddy. Good to see it. You missed the Confederacy of the General Lee and at Maulington and his Confederacy of male VTubers. You see, this is all about... This stream was about the rights of male VTubers and, of course, freeing ourselves from the torment of the female VTuber union. You see, I want to break away from the union in my native... I don't know, Virginia, and lead the Confederacy of male VTubers on our own path, with the way that the founding VTubing fathers intended. But yeah, personally for me, I think my Kamiyoshi's Lumi still, despite the what I would call a little bit of the decline of the Goomies. The Goomies annoy me a little bit these days. Not all of them, obviously. There are a lot of Goomies I like very much, but like the general vibe of Lumi's chat annoys me a bit these days, and it affects my enjoyment of Lumi. But Lumi is still my Kamiyoshi. I still like Lumi the best. Then number 2 is, of course, Tenma. Everybody loves Tenma. I fucking love Tenma. Tenma's number 2. So Lumi Kamiyoshi. Tenma's my number 1 Oshi, if Lumi's my Kamiyoshi. And Uruka is my secondary Oshi. And then I'd say Mishru is now my tertiary Oshi. That's my list. Oh, what did Dragon say? I have 1 Oshi. Kamiyoshi is a cope. Oh, that's a Giga Chad way of saying things, Dragon. I like it. I like that. That's like a John Wayne way of saying things. That's really masculine. I've never seen anyone in the union in my chat or my replies, unless you're in a union Nightfall. I've never seen someone with use Oshi marks in my following me on Twitter. I have 1 Oshi. Kamiyoshi is a cope. That's fucking based, actually. You know what? I think you've convinced me, actually, Dragon Lord. You know what? I've changed my mind. You have 1 Oshi or bust. Yeah, I agree with you, actually. Yeah, if you have more than 1 Oshi, you're a whore, and there's that. Lolame? Oh, it's Dr. Lolame. Is Brolime your Oshi clanker? I thought Himawari was your Oshi clanker, or did I misunderstand? Yeah, I thought it was Himawari was your Oshi. Himawari, your biggest fan is in the chat. Himawari, have you got anything nice to say to Clanker? Himawari. Wait, the union? I mean, I was in the voice actors union. Does that count? That depends. What do you think of the voice actors union, Himawari? Are they good or are they bad? If they're bad, then they're the union, and then we have to form the voice actors. We should form the voice actors confederacy. Clanker, you're a nerd. There you go, Clanker, you're a nerd. Okay. We are all whores. We're not whores. I'm not a whore. I give my Oshis all the attention. Actually, what am I? You know, despite Lumi being my favourite VTuber, she's the one I give money the least amount of money to, funnily enough. I don't know why. The more I like someone, the meaner I am to them, for some reason. I guess I'm a tsundere. Nya. Shit, I keep forgetting to say Nya and Gao. It's really hard, guys. I've got one brain cell, Nya. I keep forgetting to Nya and Gao. It's difficult for me. Please be patient. Please be patient. I'm a British person, quote unquote. Oh, thank you very much for the 5 Swiss francs, if you're still here, Vega. Worst place it could have been is Oakland. Biggest shithole. Oh, wait, actually, I think I did read that one already. Where's Oakland, by the way? What's in Oakland? Is that a city? Hoes ain't loyal, Dizzy Docro 2025. Well said. With your attire, I'd expect a gigolo status. Now but Black Dynamite. I sell drugs in the community. Fucking dynamite. 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 Who the hell is interrupting my kung fu? What else does he say? You jive, motherfucker. paying us. Let me defect. The Union of Female VTubers has too many women. Based. You're welcome, Tempest. Tempest. I will give you the pass. And I would be most delighted to accept a woman, a lady of such exquisite manners as the Lady Tempest tormented. A fine lady, of course, would be much appreciated in the Confederacy. You see, gentlemen, although we are the Confederacy of male VTubers, we must not decline the female VTuber who shares our manners and our vision for the future of VTubing. Indeed, we must have many of the base ladies to continue the Confederacy, and to make sure that our legacy lives on. You know what, I should probably look up some of the great speeches that General Lee made so I can kind of like mix it, like switch them into VTubing speeches. But yeah, anyway guys, that's enough face collecting shit for one day. So thank you very much for watching today's stream. And let's see who we can raid. Thank you very much as always for the donation to the Donathon. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you for the comments. Thank you for the fun as always. Today was an awful lot of fun. I was relatively more on topic today than I normally am, so that was good, I think. I'm feeling happier today compared to the last stream where I was like only relevant for about 40 minutes of a 3-hour 50-minute stream. Okay, so who can I raid? I'll raid Rena. Yeah, I'll raid Rena. Guys, behave in Rena's stream. She is a lovely lady. She's nice. She's not face connect weird, but she's still a very cool, sassy hag, and I like Rena. So yeah, behave yourselves, and I will see you all later. And enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you. Have a good evening. Take care. Love you, all of my lovely boys.